The people should have a say on the legislation because the legislations are for the people. They are not for a few oligarchs or for the elite or for some members of the parliament to say. This is absurd. We're used to it, but it is not logical.
What is direct democracy?
Right now we have representative democracy. Direct democracy, it's a whole another political system, a way of governing. In ancient Greece, where there was direct democracy, the core idea is that the people participate in decisions. In Pnika, 30,000 people, they would gather. Anyone from the citizens could be drawn to be a facilitator of the meetings. Anyone in this way was capable of leading a meeting. All the people were informed, they were active participants in this community. So this was the initial example of direct democracy that we have. It was not perfect, but we have a lot to learn from that example. Now, nowadays, why is it possible now? The key thing is technology, because we all have access to a smartphone. So this allowed us to bring the people in. So through this app, you put in your information, you verify with your ID, because this is only open for Cypriot citizens, this voting. And you can see all the candidates. The app, it was used for votings in the European Parliament that Phidias had to vote. So Phidias was putting a voting for a crucial topic. So people would vote in the app. It was yes, no, abstention. And whatever they voted, Phidias had to respect it, and he voted the same thing. And the amazing thing is that most of the times the people voted what we think is the logical thing, what Phidias would have voted anyway, which was a good indication that the people do have sense and they do have logic when they are presented with the right information, when they have the time to vote, and when they take an informed decision. I had to be voted by the people to be a candidate for the Direct Democracy Cyprus political party. If we don't set ourselves up to be candidates, who is going to do it? Like, we have to come forward.
Ioannis Damianou,
Yes.
welcome. This is another episode of Wandering Thoughts. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's start. There's a lot of topics I want to talk about, but tell us a little bit about yourself to begin with.
Sure. Well, I'm Ioannis Damianou. I'm 22 years old. Now recently a parliamentary candidate for the Direct Democracy Cyprus political party. Earlier in my life, in my youth, I played a lot of chess because of my father. My father taught me chess. I was very into mathematics because my father was a mathematician. I did a lot of sports, track and field, a bit of tennis as a hobby. And more recently, during my late teenage years, my more artistic side woke up and I got into music, hip hop, writing, recording, freestyling. And the most interesting part of my recent life, even though I'm young, since 2024 up until now 2026, I was part of Phidias' team. I was working very closely with Phidias, the influencer and MEP, member of the European Parliament, which was a big thing here in Cyprus, and I learned so much. Like, in a year and a half, it felt like I learned things that would take like 10 years in a regular, job, let's say. No offense, but like in the government, which is more slow moving. No, it was so fast paced, different roles. I learned so much. Yeah, I quit the job. I made the decision to stop and start my own things because I couldn't do my own thing while having the job. It was so demanding. And since I stopped and I started my own podcast, this opportunity to be a candidate came up. And just to explain to people, the innovation, which shouldn't be an innovation, it sounds like a really trivial thing, but unfortunately it's an exception. It is the exception, is that I had to be voted by the people to be a candidate. So it was not a given that I was going to be a candidate. People voted for who is going to be, on the ballot. I'm not sure how you call it. Yeah. So the people voted for me to be a candidate. Phidias did not decide. A small group, a small committee did not decide. It was a very democratic process. This is the essence of democracy.
Okay, so there's a lot of things that you've tried in your life. You've now had a recent turn into politics. You've done really well at chess.
Hmm.
You've entered the world of music. So most people try to focus on one thing. Personally, this is impossible for me. I like focusing on a million things because my brain, that's how attention works in my brain. I just need to switch and learn about different things. And I was just wondering how your experience is with that. Um, a lot of people with myself, they tell me, why don't you just focus all your energy on one thing? So why did you decide to almost split your time in your life up to now to different fields?
Yeah, great question. This thought used to cross my mind a lot. Growing up, I was feeling some type of way that I was focusing on, that I was not focusing on one thing. I was, doubling among many areas, and I thought that um, this had a negative impact on everything. I thought that if I focused just on chess, I was going to be a lot better at chess. If I spent less time on, I don't know, doing math, and I studied, I don't know, 2 more hours a day chess, or played more chess, I was going to be better. Looking at it now, I think you should follow what feels natural. You shouldn't try to force it that much. Like, I think within you, when you have a clear mind, you know what is good and what is helpful, what is productive, and what is not. So if I study, let's say, 5 hours a day, one topic, I'm gonna use chess as an example. If I study 5 hours a day, and I feel like I can study 8 or 10 hours without burning out, and I can still go outside and run, and running helps me clear my mind and refocus, then I think you should allow time for yourself to delve into other things. But if you feel like you have more to cover, and you want to, like, it's not you have to, because somebody else told you, I think you can spend more time on one thing. There's not a right or wrong answer here. Um, yeah, there's a lot of times where I felt like I don't want to do 3-4 things at a time, and because I was measuring my success on one of those things. If I'm measuring my success in chess, and I spend a lot of time in, I don't know, playing tennis or whatever, which is not a priority for me, it's just a hobby, then it's a misallocation. I'm not spending my time wisely. Um, but I think it's very healthy to have more than one thing in your life. But for some people, many examples, many of the people who are remembered in history, they hyper focused on one thing, and it's not wrong either. You know, all the geniuses, all the insanely successful people, they do focus on one thing. Even Phidias, he's an entrepreneur, 24/7. From the time he wakes up till he sleeps, all he thinks is his projects, his company. I mean, it helps. This obsessiveness with one thing, I think it is necessary, or it is a key common characteristic of high performance people, of the best people in a field. So yeah, no right or wrong answer. But I see how both can be useful depending on the context.
I also feel like when it comes to focusing on one thing, it doesn't mean that it's chess or it's I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and mixed martial arts. So it doesn't mean it's a certain sport. It doesn't mean it's medicine. I feel like it can be something a little bit more zoomed out. For instance, I'm focusing on a specific mission. Maybe the mission is providing positive impact, or maybe it's and let's keep that example. And that can be done in many different ways. And also, I think you gave a good example with running and chess, because you can also do different things, but they're interconnected really well. And so they work really good as a system, and they help each other.
Mm.
Before we started, guys, I told Ioannis that because I'm studying medicine, podcasting for some reason helps with medicine. Like, there's some interconnection. Or you gave the example with exercise. And I think even you mentioned Phidias, even in that example, a lot of the stuff he's done, it's not easy for people to see the interconnections. but somehow it comes to help him. Like he does a challenge that's quite
Absolutely.
different than, let's say, if he has one type of content, but he does different things and it comes together nicely. So yeah, there's some kind of way to, but yeah, I agree also that you don't need to. There's no right or wrong. If you want to hyper focus on one thing, that's fine. Okay.
Each person is different, and also, like you said, some skills are transferable. Like for example, Fidias did Navy SEALs training. For sure it helped him. He went to the United States to become a YouTuber. He learned how to use social media. Who would have predicted that social media would have been the key reason, the number one reason he got elected as a member of the European Parliament? And for me, I did so many things in my life. I built discipline. I built, I don't know, my communication skills, whatever, dealing with hate. Now I'm in a position where all those skills are the most important skills that one has to have if you run for elections. If you're running for elections, you have to deal with all those stuff. And I'm ready because of the previous things. But while I was doing them, I could have never predicted that I was going to use them in this way. So you never know how something will be used.
Yeah. Transferable skills, I think summarizes what I was trying to say. You never know. And I mean, there's a funny example. So in England, a lot of people use dating apps. So I've used dating apps, and then I started inviting people on my podcast, and who would have known how how much I've learned from dating to podcasting, like how to send an invite to someone. Like when you meet a lady, or a man or whatever, you say to them, okay, do you want to meet on Sunday for a coffee?
Yeah.
And it's similar when you invite someone to like a job
Yeah.
interview or a podcast, like, do you want to do this thing at that time? So you learn how to be direct, how to be precise, how to manage your time when talking to people. And so, yeah, I mean, who would have thought something like that would have been a transferable skill? Or even talking to, like, going on a date and talking to someone and building the social skill, and then you learn how to be present, then you do a podcast. It just always amazes me, man.
That's an interesting idea. Is anybody doing a podcast by inviting people from the dating app? Like finding a date. No, instead of inviting them to a date, you invite them to a podcast and you record it, right?
And so you do like a live podcast thing?
That's the brand. Like
That's-
you find guests from a dating app and you invite them to a podcast. Could be a date, could be just a podcast. Who knows what it turns out? It's the best way of meeting someone.
That's great.
To do a podcast.
That's great idea.
And you share it with people, and they love it because they want to see the new person, and they're saying, "This one's for you. This one's for you." Yeah.
And maybe like, one of them you don't match very well. Someone in the comments is like, "Oh, I really like that," and then
Yeah.
Well,
That's amazing.
that's a good idea.
Started from you.
We should do this. Okay, all right. Now I want to talk about politics.
Sure.
I want to understand in your mind your journey from saying I don't want to do this to I want to do this, because I've come across your social media the last couple of weeks, and well, you're first of all growing it really fast, which is understandable because of your background in editing. So you have the really, like, you have the skill, but also it seems like you're really passionate. But from what I understand, you just made this decision coming from I don't want to do this to now I really want to do this.
Yeah.
So
I was wondering how you know that, because
I just listened to your podcast. That's right.
Yeah.
With
The one he did, the one where I was the
Meadows.
guest, or I was the host.
I think I listened to half of one and full of.
Okay. Yeah, I said this. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. When I told Fidias that I was going to leave the team, he immediately told me, "You should be a candidate. You should, be a candidate for the people to vote for you." He didn't tell me. I keep repeating that because people are so used to, when I say this, they think that, oh, PDS put me on the ballot. No, he told me, be a candidate for the people to vote for you. I immediately said no. No way, because I couldn't imagine myself doing 5 years there. Like, I always start from the end. When I make a decision, I start from what I want. From, like, if I get elected, which is, the result that you want, do I want this? If the answer is no, then it's not worth, thinking, analyzing it. And the answer was no instantly, because I'm like, it's 5 years. Like, I want to help this thing. I believe in it, but I can't imagine myself being stuck there. I was thinking for 5 years. Like, I want to do so many things. I want to travel the world. I was planning to leave Cyprus, do my own podcast, English speaking content. I love music. If I'm there, I won't have the time to do all this. It won't match, whatever. I said no. Then I took a break in January. I spent most of January in Greece, doing different activities, also relaxing and all that, because for a year and a half I was working a lot. And when I came back in February, I still wasn't thinking about being a candidate, but I started my own podcast. So in February, I filmed 2 episodes with Lukanikos, who is Phidias' high school teacher and also his, let's say, political advisor, ex-political advisor, but he's still on the team. He's a great friend of mine. And I filmed a podcast with Ioannis Damianou, who's another, both of them, Lukanikos and Ioannis Damianou, are also candidates now. And he's one of the best scientists in Cyprus. He told me, yeah, that's amazing. And after I spoke with him, I started thinking about it, because I was part of the team before the idea of direct democracy even was born. So I was part of the team that brought this modern idea of direct democracy forward, because direct democracy is not a new thing. It was happening in ancient Greece in a different way. It was not perfect, but we have a lot to learn from that example. So now we with the new technology, we brought it forward with Phidias. So I'm like, if we don't set ourselves up to be candidates, me, Luganikos, Lauris, and other people, then who is going to do it? Like, we have to come forward. And I went back to the first principles instead of thinking of the result. I went back to first principles. Am I going to be useful in this? With my social media knowledge, with my whatever, as a 22-year-old, as a young person, with my skills, my abilities, will I be useful in this initiative? It was a big yes, 100% yes. It would really, really help the common good and the team effort. I put my personal on the side and I focused on the team. So I'm like, yes. So it was a gradual journey from no to yes, to 100% no to 100% yes. And in the beginning, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a candidate. And I'm like, okay, I might as well try a bit and see what happens. And I might as well give my all and see what happens without caring about the result. And I'm like, oh, it seems like I have chances, because we had some indications. There were these stars on the app, because people voted through an app, Agora. There were these stars, and the indication was that I was going to qualify. So I'm like, okay, well, it seems like I'm going to qualify. Then I have to take it serious. And it was progressive. I saw the response. The people liked what I was saying. So I'm like, I'm in. So now I have no choice, and I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad. Yeah.
I have a lot of questions. Give me 1 second to check that the cameras are running.
Sure.
Just because I always get
Yeah.
like stress.
This is recording.
Okay, this is fine. This is fine. And that's recorded. Good. Already. Cool. So I think it's beneficial to the audience if I just ask you to clarify certain terms and how things work, because people might not understand. So if you could explain to us what is direct democracy and what's the attempt to make this work in Cyprus. So if you could explain to us what the app Agora is,
Sure.
and how the voting works in the app. I think we could start from there and we'll build after that.
Yeah. We have to start from there to give context. I mean, direct democracy as an ideology, it's not really, is to be more accurate, it's a way of governing. It's a whole another political system. Right now we have representative democracy. Direct democracy is a whole different way of this different political system. In ancient Greece, when there was direct democracy, the core idea is that the people participate in decisions. Is not just that they are aware of happening, they have access, which unfortunately even this needs to be improved a lot now today. They participate in it. So in Pnika, it was like 30,000 people. They would gather, and um, people were being drawn like randomly. Anyone from the citizens could be drawn to be a facilitator of the meeting. So they were getting the experience of kind of leading the meeting. So anyone in this way was capable of leading a meeting and having the knowledge. All the people were informed. They had knowledge. They were not just interested. They were active participants in this community. So this was the initial the other example of direct democracy that we have. Of course, there were limitations. For example, women and children were not voting. I mean, we came a long way. Now, women, of course, vote, and this is not even out of in question. Now, nowadays, the difference is that the key thing is technology. The key difference is that why is it possible now? Because we have the phone. We all have access to a smartphone. We can, like, you can, I mean, relatively easily make an app. It's not easy to make an app, but it's doable, definitely doable. So this allowed us to bring the people, to bring the people in. So through this app, you download the app. It's a simple process. You put in your information, you verify with your ID, so it knows you're a Cypriot citizen. Because this is only open for Cypriot citizens, this voting. And you can see all the candidates. There's information about each one of them. There are podcasts, things that each candidate says about themselves, what they did in their lives, what their goals are. There is a podcast with videos for every single one of them, additional videos. And after you study each candidate, you can make your own decision. So that was the process. Before this election process, which happened recently, was in 12 to 14 March, the app Agora, it was not Agora, it was Direct Democracy app. It was a different name, different branding. It was used for voting for amendments in the European Parliament that Fidesz had to vote. So Fidesz was, we were putting voting for an amendment for a crucial topic, where there's this Cyprus problem, not Cyprus problem, I mean, things that affect Turkey, which obviously have to do with Cyprus, or with sanctions on Russia, with the war, immigration, or with Ursula von der Leyen, holding her position or not. So people would vote in the app. It was yes, no, abstention. And whatever they voted, Fidesz had to respect it, and he voted the same thing. And the amazing thing is that most of the times the people voted what we think is the logical thing, what Fidesz would have voted anyway, which was a good indication that the people do have sense and they do have logic when they are presented with the right information, when they have the time to vote, and when they take an informed decision. This is a really important aspect for the direct democracy idea and movement to work. They have to take informed, logical decisions after a thorough conversation around the topic. Ideally, you spend some time analyzing the topic, understanding it before you even are called to vote. So this is the core idea. And this is one of the dangers where it can go wrong if you just put random votes and you tell people vote, 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 and they vote emotionally because, for example, the Cyprus topic is a very emotional topic. Then it could be dangerous. So that's how it works, more or less. I don't know if it was
No, I think you did a
simple
good job.
explanation. Okay.
No, I think you did a good
Yeah.
job. So I'm just going to play devil's advocate.
Sure.
just because this is something
We want that.
people might ask. Let's say someone says, I'm because there's some certain topics, like let's say the wars.
Mhm.
Let's say, shall we go to war with country Y?
Right.
Do you think that there's ever going to be enough? I don't know the word in English, but there's a bit, let's say you bring a lot of people to talk about it. Um, I,
It pe- yeah.
is there any case, let's say about wars, about other things, that if the majority wants them, someone should act a little bit more dictatorically? Or do you think that if that's what society wants, they have to learn their lesson, they have to actually go through that experience societally and grow as a society?
Okay. This is an important question. Yeah. Um, the core idea of direct democracy is that you inform people, you present them with the information, you have a discussion, and then whatever decision the people want, the people take, you respect it. In the case of war, in certain topics, maybe you have to be a bit more diligent. For example, maybe you spend more time convincing people that it is not a good idea to go to war. So you take a different approach where you, instead of just, objectively presenting the pros and cons on a regular topic, you actively state that, this is not the right thing to do because of this, this, and this. And if the people still believe that we should go to war, the majority, you can have additional measures for certain topics. For example, instead of the majority voting for the war, maybe you require a 65%, 75%, maybe it's the 2/3 of the vote. If the 2/3 of the vote still vote for war, I would say if you can't convince them that this is not good, I mean, maybe it is the best thing, as bad as it sounds, as it may sound. I mean, maybe sometimes it's necessary to go to war, and maybe if you don't go to war, it could be worse for your country.
Yeah.
So I think if you decide that the how do you say, the common wisdom, the Συλλογική Sophia is like the
Common wisdom.
the common wisdom. If you decide that the common wisdom is the right thing and you go with that, I think you should respect it in all topics, even in war. So that would be my answer. And I don't think it should be presented as dangerous, because it's not more dangerous than what we have now. We can still go to war in representative democracy.
You can see this here. Sorry to interrupt you. I think yes, most people, I don't think they wanted the war in
Yes.
Iran anyway.
At least the people have a say
Yep.
whether we go to war or not. But it is important that we take some measures to protect it, because it could be the wrong thing,
Mhm.
still. So yeah.
Another thing that I've noticed is that if a person as an individual, or if a society isn't ready for something,
Mm-hmm.
the law might do a little bit to prevent them from doing it, but not a lot, man. For instance, if around the world, some countries have some drugs legalized, other countries have them illegal. Still drugs in the countries. There's some cases where what I'm saying is not necessarily true. Like, for instance, in the UK, you don't have as many guns because guns are like there's
In the US is
much stricter laws. But for a lot of things, it looks like whatever the law is, it's people that kind of have to. If people don't agree with it, most of the time they're gonna do what they want to do anyway. So yeah, there's only limits to what laws you can use to dictate people's behavior. Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I forgot to mention that during the voting now for who is going to be candidate in the app Agora, 16,000, just over 16,000 people voted. This is an insane amount of people for a small country like Cyprus. We just started this political party only for a few months, and we have been talking about it really for just, I don't know, a couple, 3 months about the voting. It's an insane amount of people, 16,000, like the largest party, DC, I don't know how to say it in English. the biggest number they ever had when they voted for their internal processes to for different to elect some members. It was not exactly the same. It was not for parliamentary members. It was 20,700 people, and we're at 16,000 people, and we're a new party. Imagine what's going to happen in the future. It's the power of social media.
And also, just because I don't know if people, Cyprus is really small, guys. It's like
Yes.
a million people. It's not a big place.
And half of them are not even registered, which is I'm going to talk about it later, but it is our goal now to get as many people registered as we can. The deadline is 2nd of April, where they can register to be able to vote. That's a big challenge. Yeah.
Definitely. You know what it reminds me of? Because I was listening to this is last year. I was listening to Slavoj Žižek talking about his views when it comes to more direct forms of democracy. Not exactly in the same context we've been talking about it, but just this idea of being more. Actually, no, it wasn't about direct democracy. He was talking about, he was saying, oh, it's hell to have this communist thing where you kind of have to interact all the time as an individual. Anyway, you know, Slavoj Žižek, if you know him, he's very like, he creates a lot of controversy, and his statements, you have to take them with a pinch of salt. But the reason I'm mentioning it is because someone might say, I might just want to sit in my house and let other people make decisions for me. Well, and I think nothing stops you. I think what's beautiful about the concept of direct democracy is that if you don't want to get involved, you don't need to, but it's having the choice to be able to be more involved. Sorry to interrupt. I was wondering your thoughts on this, and I was saying this because there's a school in America. It's like an alternative school, Sudbury Valley.
I know it. Yeah, I know it.
And they had this room where kids played, and they left them to like organize it. So they didn't like
It's called
bring
unschooling, no? Not unschooling. What is it?
deschooling or unschooling.
I think it's unschooling, the term. So basically, you let the children free.
There's no curriculum. Yeah. And in this room they had, it was like a playroom. If it was dirty and the kids didn't tie it up, they left it dirty. And so they let the kids on quote unquote suffer, which is not really suffering in the long term, for their actions.
Mm-hmm.
And also the reason I've been rambling the last minute is because what they've noticed was that the kids suddenly proactively started caring about the rule. And this is an analogy about society. It's like, on a big scale, I think people who think they don't want to be involved will perhaps start caring a lot more once they see that
the effect.
Yeah, and I can actually change things now. Like,
yes,
I don't like the lamp in this corner. Maybe I can put it here.
Okay, this is a big discussion. Oh my god. I want to talk about schools, but first of all, on the direct democracy point, ideally, it's still at its early stages, the modern day direct democracy that we're starting. By the way, if it succeeds now in these elections, I think it will take a global,
Hopefully,
scale. It will be big news, and our intention is to spread it first in Greece, then maybe Italy, Spain, and all over Europe first, and then why not worldwide? But let's see. The important distinction is that it could happen locally first. For example, you can vote for things. Now, just theoretically speaking, that's not what's happening right now. Theoretically speaking, you could vote for things that affect your city, not even city, your neighborhood, your district. And you can still vote for things that affect the city or the country or even the continent. Why not Europe, working this way in the future? But the important thing is that in any topic, who has the best answer? Who knows what the best thing is? It is the people that are affected by it. So if you have, let's say, an issue in, I'm going to use a Cypriot place in Arlanja or in Dali, is it logical for someone who lives far from it, from an outsider, to come and tell you what's going to happen in your house, in your place? No. You have to listen to the people who live there locally. So the important distinction, one is the geographical distinction, where you live, the things that affect where you live, and topic-wise, the things that affect you. So if they have this thing in Cypriot, it's like pieces where the bank is taking your house if you don't pay your loan, but they're doing it in a very unfair way. We can get into it, but they're doing it in a very unfair way, and you end up paying much more than you should. And they take your house before you, when you appeal, and there's an ongoing, let's say, trial. They take your house before there's a decision. So instead of waiting for the decision to end and then taking your house, there is no legislation that protects the person who takes the loan so they don't lose their home. So for things like that, the people who are affected by this, they're the people who should have a say on the legislation, because the legislations are for the people. They're not for a few oligarchs or for the elite or for some members of the parliament to say. This is absurd. We're used to it, but it is not logical. So this is an important distinction in direct democracy, both the geographical and the people who are affected by it. Can I use some Greek maybe for someone who said it in Greek?
Yeah,
Or not?
sure.
Yeah, poutos poni, who like not necessarily the people who suffer by it, but the people who deeply care about it. You know, one thing. Now the education, what a big topic. Generally speaking, we're used to the world in a certain way. Not just how we perceive the world, but in a more practical way, how the system works, how the political system works, how everything works. Schools, how they work. We're used to it. It's like that. Doesn't mean it's logical, doesn't mean it's useful anymore. With direct democracy, first of all, I said in the beginning when I was talking about the definition, it is a new way of governance. It is not just an ideology or political party. It is not a political party. We're forced to make it a political party so that we can get him into parliament. Ideally, we change the whole political system. Why do I say this? Because if you look back in the history from, I don't want to go that far back, but I'm going to come earlier, starting from the printing press, for example, the 1500s. Then later on, when with the radio, TV, mass media, more recently with the internet, and now that the means of communication is changing with AI and all that, every time the means of communication, the medium, the way of communication changes, the political system changes. The way that that the government works, the whole political the way that the political system works changes, and now we're at this change. We're part of this change. We're at the crossroads, and if we don't, if direct democracy does not succeed, the political party, some other change will happen. It is unavoidable. We're not like even if we don't succeed, it's not like people have a choice, because a lot of people who are against what we're doing, they keep saying it's dangerous. They're using all these words which show their ignorance, which show that they don't understand the bigger picture. This is not just a short-term movement, that could die down. If it dies down, somebody else was going to do it anyway. Somebody else is going to do it, and the people will start demanding it, because now that they've seen it, they've seen the possibility of this, they will not accept going back. There is no going back. It's like you woke up, are you going to go back to sleep? No. They will demand it. They will try it. If it fails, you do something else. But there's no way it's going to stay as it is. Representative democracy, voting once every 5 years and then having no say. You see how people are getting so angry, so passionate about certain topics, and they don't have anywhere to, their voice is not heard. Even if it's being heard, nothing happens, so it will change.
100%. I think systems evolve unavoidably, and I think it can also evolve as there can also be a really bad thing that replaces representative democracy that's much more dictatorial.
Mm-hmm.
So we should try to make it evolve towards the right direction.
It's in our hands to make it right, to make it how we want to make it.
Yes.
We're not proposing a rigid thing, a pre-planned thing. No, it's evolving. Even now, if you ask me, more specific things about how the party works, I will not have an answer to tell you because it will come from the people.
Yeah, we have to talk about that.
Yeah.
This other point we have to
Yeah,
talk about.
it will come from us. This is not one answer, you know.
Yeah. Just to be more clear with what I was saying, it's like I was reading a book by Donella Meadows, Game Systems, and she was talking about the inherent properties of systems. For instance, one is information, another one, blah, and so when it comes to a system, sometimes changing it creates problems, and you didn't need to change it. And before this, we started the podcast. I was talking to Ioannis about we were briefly mentioning education and a certain book about order and chaos, etc. Like, and this is the next topic I want us to slowly transition to education. But just to complete this point, sometimes the system doesn't need change, and if we change it, then we create really worse outcomes, which is kind of how I'm seeing education sometimes. But yeah, I think when it comes to a system now, well, the system isn't working, and when it comes to technology changing and then influencing politics, it can go both ways, and it's in our hands to use technology to create a more democratic system and not a more dictatorial.
Sure, but changing something, I mean, if you don't like something, I think it's a wise idea to change it. Even if it doesn't go well, it was correct. It was a good decision that you tried to change it. And it's not permanent. You can always go back. Also, maybe it didn't work because of the way we acted, the decisions we took afterwards. So if something doesn't work, it doesn't mean that the initial decision wasn't correct. Also, if it doesn't work the first time, doesn't mean it's not going to work the second time. So you get the idea. I don't think that I'm 100% sure that what we're doing is the right thing to do. Whether it succeeds or it fails, there's so many reasons, so many explanations you can give. You can try again. You can, go back. So people who say that this is dangerous and you shouldn't do it, but it's not logical to me.
Yeah.
Not logical.
No, 100%. And you have to trial and error in life.
Sure.
You cannot avoid that. Okay. I want us to slowly transition to education. I want this to have two parts. The first one, I want you to tell me in a perfect world how you have the perfect education system. How would that look like? And the second step, we'll talk about the realistic next practical steps.
Okay.
But let's start from kind of the utopia we might never be able ever to achieve, and then we'll go where we are and we'll think of the next step.
I'll try. I'm gonna figure out my answer as I'm saying.
Sure, it's fine.
Ideal world scenario. Okay, I go to school. I'm a student. Should we say high school, or should I talk about like I'm a student? I'm a university student. Which one should I?
I think we should let's say let's talk from 5 till 18.
Okay, sure.
And maybe things differ, but maybe they don't differ as much as we think.
I go to school. I am free to choose how to spend my day, which topics I want to focus on. For this to happen, a certain environment has to be in place, certain tools that I should have access to. I'm not saying there shouldn't be teachers or guides or whatever, but their role should be different. So there should be people available to guide me and help me if I need to. But at the same time, I should start learning from a young age to take responsibility for what I do. Like you said, if I don't clean, the class is dirty. Do I want to live in a dirty class? I mean, sooner or later, I will start cleaning because I won't like it. And if I do, I should have the right to live in a dirty class. Now, if it's bad for others or for the planet that I live it dirty, then hopefully I'm gonna feel that or most students will feel that, and they will choose to do something about it. Because I believe that, I mean, if we are not, it is how we are programmed. I don't think we are born good or bad, but um, if we are programmed, programmed in a certain way, we will act like it. So if we're programmed to care about the environment, our fellow human beings, then we will want to clean. We will want to clean the class, because this will have an impact on others as well. So it's not just about me taking responsibility and cleaning because I want it to be clean, but it's because I want the world to be better. Now you can argue that not everyone will do this. Sure, and I believe that. But if you force them to do it, I'm not sure that you're actually solving the problem, because when you don't tell them, they will still not clean it. So it's like you're covering the problem, but you're not solving the root. So the root is the programming. It's not just school. It's family. Is everything. It's the way you grow up, the society, how it is. That's where the programming happens. So the whole school is part of a broader way of living. It's like school is one thing. You if in school, if at school, if I go to this ideal school and I'm free to do whatever I want and I take responsibility, but I go at home and it's different, then it's working against me. It's like you're working on one side, and then you go at home, your family is pushing you to the other side. So there should be a more general change in all aspects of society, which works harmoniously, so that this free school is actually productive. So it is not just the school that has to change, it's everything. But one affects the other. If the school is better, then you go home, you will act like it, and vice versa. So it's like a loop. Now I feel like we're in a negative loop. You have to get into this positive loop, which
one reinforces
one
the other.
reinforces the other.
Yes.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, to continue my thought, I go to school. For example, I'm interested in hip hop. I think I should be able to do something related to it at school. I think I have that choice. Um, I mean, I want to focus on sports. One could say you cannot just focus on sports and not study, math or your language or whatever. I think if you fall behind in a certain area, and this area is actually useful in your life and you need to know certain things, when the time comes, you will learn those things. You don't have to learn all those unnecessary things in a really slow way, or, at somebody else's pace, with the rules that somebody else forces upon you. I think this is irrational. I think you should, when the time comes, I do believe that people learn something. And I say it, I speak from experience, because in anything that I ever did in my life, when I was really interested in it, I did everything to learn everything about it, and I actually learned it really well. Even with edit, I was not an editor. Videos gave me a chance. He hired me. In a year and a half, I think I became a really good editor. You can learn anything as long as the information is there, and as long as the most important thing is the fundamentals, how you approach things. If you learn how to approach a subject, you don't need someone to tell you, read this first, read this second, do your homework, do this exercise. No, you will find a natural way of learning it, and not only you will feel better, psychologically it's better for you. The better you feel, the more you learn, the easier you learn, the faster you learn. The thing that maybe would take a year for you to learn, you can learn it in a week, and I'm not exaggerating. Also, something else that's really irrational is that school is, I mean, we can go back, that I think we all know that it started for factory workers in the early 1900s. Yeah, so the school that we have today is still made the same way.
Industrial model of learning.
Yeah, industrial model of learning. Even Lukanikos mentioned that it was it was Prussia that started this, the Prussian model. Anyway, so it's this industrial model of learning that produces, should I say, factory workers, essentially slaves. I'm gonna say it raw, slaves. Why are students in schools separated according to their age or based on the topic that they're learning. This is not how we learn in our everyday lives. You're doing a podcast. You are touching on so many topics in an episode. You're not focusing on just one. You can't focus on one. But even if you focus on one, there are so many aspects of it. I go outside in the society. Now that I'm a candidate, I'm blending so many topics in my everyday life. I mean, it is so irrational. Why should I be? I'm 12 years old. Why should I be in a class with only with 12-year-olds? I learned so much from someone who's older than me, younger than me. So many skills. How am I gonna develop all those skills if I just only speak to people my age? And when I go out in society, I'm gonna be forced to, speak with an older person, and I will develop that skill. But why am I going to school and wasting my time in a model that has nothing to do with real life? And same with the subjects. You don't learn a subject by just focusing on a subject. It's like, I'm gonna learn math, now I'm gonna learn history, now physics, now whatever, religion. I'm gonna steal this from Laudis. I mean, it's not just Laudis saying, it's many other people, near myself, but he mentioned it in a podcast. That's why I'm mentioning him, because we agree on that. Let's say you have a project. I go to school and I work on a project with other students, not necessarily my age, with other students. In order for me to complete this project, I will have to learn many different things. If you choose the right project, I will have to learn how to cooperate, how to communicate with people, how to respect people, how to schedule things. I will build discipline. I will have to study. I'll have to use language. I will have to improve my language. I will have to study history. I will have to do my research on the topic. And I'm going to also study the specific thing. So I'm going to touch on 5, 6, 10 different topics. Get the useful parts that I need from those topics, not unnecessary information that I will forget anyway. You have an exam. You're gonna give the exam and you forget the information. So it was not worth it. What's the use? So by the time I complete the project, not only I will remember the information better, but the important thing is the process that I went through. The process gave me the skills that just studying by myself with a book, doing an exercise like a slave or a factory worker can never give you those skills. And writing an exam by yourself in this really strict conditions, specific conditions, is completely irrational, because this is not what you're gonna encounter later on in life. If you work in a typical job, you might. If you're an employee in a corporate job or whatever, you might, but I think we're moving away from that.
Even then, man, sorry to interrupt, but even then, I mean, a lot of dissatisfaction from employers comes because the workers they kind of want the tasks to be very specific, but this is not the job necessarily of an employer, because we use critical thinking to figure out how we work through a task. So we should develop that skill in school. I have to come up with my own solutions to problems. I, a lot of the time, don't understand what the problem is, and I have to frame the problem. I was talking to James York, and he was telling me, you've been asked so many questions at school throughout your whole life, and you've never actually been asked to create your own original problem to solve, to create your own questions. And a lot of the time this is needed, and if it wasn't needed as much 100 years ago, it is now.
Do you care about the stuff that you're being asked at school?
And that's another
Do you
thing.
always care about it?
And you don't know, mostly you don't remember. I teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, man, and I repeat things 50 times sometimes, and the same people don't understand them, and I don't blame them. This is my thing that I need to work on. But when they ask me a thing that they actually want to know the answer to once, it's stuck forever. So that's what you need to produce to someone. It's like they need to be asking to generate their own questions.
You learn best when you are so interested and so passionate about the topic, you can't wait to hear the answer. That's when it's gonna stick. forgot what I was gonna say. Um,
Another thing is with
Right.
it, with because you mentioned separating topics
mm-hmm.
at school is man-made. The word wasn't created. The word wasn't created, and math was in left
It's
corner,
so
and chemistry was in the
it's
right.
so manufactured.
Yeah, yeah.
It's restricted. It's like this follow rules, blah blah blah. They're not. I hate it even as a life purpose. You can say I want people to be more independent, to be bosses, to be uh, to be in control of their lives, of themselves, not depend on other people, on other things externally. School programs you to depend on other things, not useful things, not productive things. I dream of a school system of a society where people are free to do what they love and not have to pay for it. And I want this to be the norm. Also, theory and practice. Theory is really important, sure. How do you learn something? You learn it in practice. Video editing. You get in a video editing class, let's say at university, because at school I don't think there's a video editing class.
Which is another problem, because what you were saying was really important about being able to do hip hop at school.
Yeah,
Like I mentioned already about
why not?
with systems thinking. It's like a healthy system has diversity, but humans are scared of diversity. As humans, a lot of the time we resist change, even if that change is good. We are scared of it. We want things to look similar, but to feel safer. But a healthy system is diversity. So maybe you should be able to do hip hop, and maybe I should be able to do podcasts at school and whatever. Sorry, I just wanted to complete that. It's really because it's fundamental
Yeah,
characteristic of a healthy system, and the interconnections like mathematics, chemistry, whatever. We separate them artificially, sure. We want to do a deep dive and learn about them, but the interconnections between these topics are as important for a healthy system. These are fundamental properties of a system. So you have to see, how does math link to chemistry? How does philosophy link to physics? And these interconnections are as important. I'm not going to say more important, but as important to, let's imagine them as dots that we are the surface, and we don't even touch them.
dot in space.
It's ridiculous. Sorry, I'm getting passionate here, but I'm at school in medicine, and the lecturer does the right thing of maybe introducing us to maybe a little bit of the history of the topic or the philosophy of the topic, and students are like, "This is not clinically relevant. I don't care about." I'm like, "Do you not care about the context?"
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. This is just
No, how do you learn hip hop best? How do you learn video editing best? By doing it, by actually doing it. You don't have to study for 2-4 years before you can start rapping. You know everything about it and your theory. The best way to learn is, honestly, if you ask me today, you want to learn hip hop, you want to learn video editing, you start.
you do a
pick
bunch
up
of mistakes.
you pick you get your laptop, you download the right software, whatever free software, tutorial. You're gonna make mistakes. You find other people who have done it, who are doing it. You're part of a community. You do it in collaboration. Also by yourself, you develop your skill. You make mistakes again. Trial and error. You said before. That's how you learn, in practice. You think I'm gonna study video editing? No, I was part of a team of video editors. I had a person who is not an editor, Fidias, but he has worked with the best YouTubers in the world, Mr. Beast, etc. And I learned a lot, and I learned fast, and I enjoyed it, and it had meaning. Nobody came to give me, a blueprint. These are the 10 rules of video editing. This is ridiculous, but this is how school works. I don't know.
And it also serves a certain. I mean, there is a few. I've been talking to Michael Graziano recently. He's at Princeton. He studies. Well, we mainly talked about consciousness, but we touched on ADHD.
He studies or teaches. He studies at Princeton.
Researches consciousness and also teaches.
Uh-huh.
But we touched on attention and ADHD, and well, sometimes when I talk about these things about education, I always try to think of it. Do other students experience it in the same way? Maybe it's just really ADHD, and it might be the case. But it seems like there's a lot of kids that are ADHD, and maybe it's just a natural the way the brain works. This is what Graziano was saying, that we label it as abnormal, but perhaps it is just how our brain works, and maybe the thing that has to change is the social environment around us, in this case, school.
Yes.
And then suddenly I'm not, because it's not a coincidence I can talk to you for 3 hours and concentrate, be present, or
Because you're
spend
interested.
ridiculous amounts of hours on one thing.
Yes. Natural.
So yeah, but okay. So let's think of what the next realistic, pragmatic steps are for a better education system.
Honestly, I don't think that small changes will help, because if the fundamentals are wrong and you change it a bit, you're just making a bad thing better, which I'm not sure that that's better. I'm sure maybe it's getting worse. I think it should be rebuilt from scratch. It's a good question, because I want to be in parliament. You can tell me you want to be in parliament. How are you going to change it from scratch? I don't think you'll have that opportunity in parliament to change it from scratch. It will probably be minor changes, whatever, amendments. I don't know. Even the fact that I think most people would probably agree with what we have been saying about school. Not everyone. Maybe more conservative people used to it, maybe they disagree. But I think most people agree, and most importantly, people who are experiencing it, students, would certainly agree, the majority of students. I think that's a problem in and of itself. If the people who are going through it don't agree with it, I think we should bypass all these laws and bureaucracy and these small changes. And by the way, I'm answering your question, because I'm not going to give a specific answers, because I don't think, I don't think that if I tell you, which is what Philly has proposed, which if we have longer breaks and, people stop, they can't fail the year and stuff like that. Even that, I think, is too small. The fact that the people who are going through it, the students, are not happy with something, they should have a say. And it links back to direct democracy. There should be direct democracy in schools. The people who are affected by it, who are they? They're the students, the parents, the teachers. They're the stakeholders. So you should ask the students, and you should treat them like adults. The only reason they cannot behave like adults, or we think they can, is because we have programmed them to be that, to act like that. So if we teach children from a young age, and there are many examples of that, and I'm planning to do things on that to show this. If we train children, even from kindergarten, to take responsibility, they do behave like adults, and they can make decisions at least as good as adults. So how I would change school is I would find ways to not just ask children, but for them to participate in decisions that will actually have effect. I will ask the students, how do you want school to be? Ideally, we start from that. We get feasibility out of the way, because feasibility kills creativity. I don't care if it's feasible. You asked me, you describe your ideal school. Then I reverse engineer. I go backwards, and we find the steps, and we start doing this one by one, but with the students, not some old people, 50-year-olds in an office who have no idea what it's like, who I don't even know what they're thinking, deciding about students' lives. I hate this, because I was a student. I went through this. So many people can relate to this. So I would start like this. My answer is not 1, 2, 3, I'm going to change this. My answer is, let's go and ask the students. Let's go and nurture this direct democracy spirit and way of operating in schools. And then you cannot lose this way, because the answer will come from the people who are not just affected by it, who are living in this. So when the answer comes from them, it can never be wrong. If it's wrong, they will change it. It can only be wrong if it comes from someone on the outside who doesn't understand the people, and who doesn't have to suffer from it every day. So the next practical step would be, for me, which I will try to do it in parliament. Don't know how feasible it is. Maybe we don't have as much power as we do. I want to believe we do. It depends on how many people we're going to elect. So my first step would be this, to promote this way of thinking. I don't know if this is a specific enough answer.
No, this
I
is
can try to get more specific, but
applying the principles of direct democracy
yes.
in schools.
Yeah, and other things, but the general idea is this. I mean, other things is like, using technology. Don't tell them, don't use AI, don't cheat. No, collaborate, use the tools. And there's this it's not just a misconception. Again, it's irrationality. When the school system, I know it's not, it doesn't have a face, saying the system doesn't have a face. It almost seems like, who are you blame? Who is who is the system? But the school system, or the people who have decided these, we can get into memes later on, into what memes are. It presents certain things as bad. Like, they tell the students, don't do this, don't act this way, don't use AI as plagiarism, don't copy, don't do this, don't do that. Instead of presenting them this way, teach them how to use it. You don't cut something off, something that is out there already. And it's like alcohol. Like, you tell your kid, do not drink alcohol. It's a terrible thing, blah, blah, blah. I would say,
Yeah, good luck with that, guys.
yeah. Is that the way? Is that convincing? Does that work? It's like, I would say, let them taste alcohol. Let them get drunk, see if they like it, and help them understand that is bad for themselves.
And provide people with exposure to, if you take a kids to do different sports, see if they like them. Don't force them to do sports, because that's also really bad. If to force them to do this and force them, just let them try it out.
It was an example. Yeah.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
Or take them in bring it's erethismata. You
Yeah.
give them things to like, and they won't really need alcohol that much. And I think
I said it in the context of school.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
don't
yeah,
do this, don't do that. No, do all of that. Do all of the bad things. Hiding them is not helpful. They're gonna encounter them. They have to learn how to deal with them. You don't hide the bad things, which, by the way, they're not bad. They're lessons. The best way to go to learn from them is to go through them. When you have a fear, do you just hide from the fear? No, you go through it. That's how you're gonna learn. There's no other way. It's irrational.
I've pissed off a lot of people recently talking to them about AI. I don't mean to. I just annoy people by doing it, but I will keep annoying people. I don't care enough.
Of course.
And I'm not talking online. I'm talking like personal interactions. It's just, I have nice conversations, and I have a wonderful time. But I think a lot of times people, they think it's me arguing with them, but I'm separating them as a person from what they're talking about. I'm just arguing with their idea.
That's important.
And hopefully but I think sometimes we self-grasp upon ideas. So if someone disagrees with us, we say, oh, he's disagreeing, it means I'm a bad person.
We get too attached to this.
We get
idea.
triggered.
Yeah.
But if you just want a nice society, we just want a good idea to flourish. Anyway.
Should I touch on the concept of memes? Because I said that
Sure.
the school system is kind of, not just the school system, political system, any system, government, we always blame the system, but we're not blaming anyone in essence. And I think this favors the people who are actually making those decisions. If there is someone actually responsible, they want you to blame everyone. They want you to not know who to blame. There's this concept of memes, which are basically, let's say, ideas who have who have evolved and survived in society, and they govern us. For example, it could be a belief, maybe a certain belief about schools, that it should be that way. That's a meme, and it governs us. Or about religion. It's a theoretical concept. It's not just memes. It's three things, but I keep forgetting them. Anyway, but memes is the important one here. And the idea is that we are not, how do I say, not only we're not rational agents, but we're not even agents. That we think that we have a choice, or we're making a decision, but in reality, that decision is being guided by those memes without us even being conscious of it. Like, for example, everything I say, everything I believe is because of a meme that lives there.
A core belief in deep rooted in society.
Yeah, yes. And it I don't know where it was born. It was something else. It evolved. It stayed throughout the years, centuries, and nowadays things are like this because of that. So we're like players in a game. We're like puppets in a game. That's just an idea.
No, it's a great idea. It reminds me of the way you act is based on the dead philosophers, kind of.
I mean,
Uh,
what are you? You can go deeper. What are you?
but-
Your set of ideas from from outside of you.
yeah.
What am I?
And I don't know. Do you scroll a lot?
No, now, but I used to. I'm more conscious of it because I'm a creator now.
Yeah.
But I used to, yes.
I don't want to be. I'm not going to be mean, but I'm just going to be truthful.
Yeah.
There's especially younger kids. You can see there are a set of ideas that come from TikTok or Instagram, and and this is not easy to understand where your ideas come from. Yuval Harari, he says when he writes books, he leaves and goes and meditates,
Mm-hmm.
and he tries to free his mind from ideas that might be unoriginal, because otherwise you just end up being a set of, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you should have the mindfulness of, okay, Ioannis is telling me this, and I'm entertaining this idea that's coming from Ioannis. But I think with a lot of people are losing that. I know us. We have so much information around us that it's at the point where we form beliefs that we thought we formed ourselves, but we actually haven't.
I want to give people some food for thought. Let's say someone is scrolling, and I think that they're, not aware that they're consciously doing it. Right? I'm outside, and I can see them. I won't say below, but I won't say above and below, but like I can see them, that I'm outside their bubble. I'm zoomed out. I see that someone is not being conscious, right? And I think that I am conscious, and they're not, and I tell them that. But I'm not conscious, and I don't even know it. The fact that I'm blaming them for doing this is also, I said, an idea, a behavior. I'm also programmed. And the person watching me, they're also programmed. So how much do you zoom out? Is like, even me, if you take a certain situation, it is the framing of it. Okay, it's me and you. Okay, I see that you do a certain thing while we're doing a podcast, right? And I think that I'm a conscious, I have a choice. I'm a conscious actor agent. Yes, but somebody else is watching me, another observer. They see that I'm not. And they think they are, but they're not. So if I blame you, what I'm missing, that I'm also doing something, and I'm not blaming myself because I can't see myself. So philosophically, this is also very interesting.
100%. That's really interesting. Okay. I want us to talk a little bit about editing and chess, but I want us to close that idea as we have anything else when it comes to politics and education. One thing about AI that I've noticed is when you get older people, especially, saying things like, because you see it as a crisis kind of now in the universities, don't use AI, it's plagiarism, this, that. I have some thoughts, and I wonder what your thoughts are on it too. One is, if you can use a tool to produce an outcome, and in this case you use LLMs, and you create you produce, they spit out information instantaneously. Well, if you can do that, perhaps the education system is asking their own questions to students. It's time to update the questions, which is a hard job. So perhaps start asking questions that AI can't answer, instead of asking questions. But it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. So they say to you, don't use AI. But to me, as a young person, it sounds to me, and again, I'm sure there's more nuance that I haven't sat down and thought, but it sounds to me like telling people don't use calculators, and then I'm like, why? I can produce.
Exactly. If you can get the answer from the AI, why should you memorize it and learn the answer without the AI? Also now, this is very relevant because am I appearing on TV soon? I don't know. I wasn't invited yet. I haven't been invited, but I might because I'm a parliamentary candidate. In TV, I have to show that I know stuff, right? It's this image. Oh, I know things. I know how this works. I remember everything. But why should that be the criteria that somebody votes for me? No, in my opinion. Because if I can get that information, let's say in parliament, I have access to information. What matters is that I take the right decision. Is that I bring the people in, or even if I don't, even in representative democracy, when I'm presented with the data, the information, I make the right decision and I vote in favor of the people and not in favor of personal interests of banks, of a certain few entrepreneurs, etc. So this should be the criteria that people vote for me. So journalists can humiliate me on the basis that, oh, but you don't know that. How you're in politics? How can you not know that? You should know that. No, I shouldn't. If I can find the answer with a simple search, okay, I look stupid, but I'm not stupid. Should you not vote for me because I look stupid on TV? Or should you vote for me because I'm a more honest person and capable person than others? So it is really linked with what you're saying about AI and
Yeah. And also, I think it's the skill you want is the ability to access information fast and also understand how to, I don't know what the best verb is, but use information to create a positive outcome.
utilize it. Yeah.
Utilize, yeah.
Yeah.
Utilize. Because I think this is the difference, and perhaps this lies is a big reason for crisis in education. I think it's the fact that we have a tremendous increase in how much information we can access. I mean, guys, go on YouTube. There's most of the books you want, maybe not most, but a lot of the books you want are free audiobooks on YouTube. Like,
or PDF.
And you have lectures of like our non-linear dynamics and chaos, and you have like 30 lecture playlists.
You can learn at your own pace
on YouTube.
You can learn at your own pace,
Yes.
right?
And so this is a crisis. So the skill you need to learn is no more putting information in your brain.
Yeah.
It's just, how do I utilize it? I need to open the lights, guys, because it's hard to get that.
Yeah,
we can't do forever. Like education.
but you see how it applies everywhere, like in politics, in the way we approach things. It's not considered normal to not know a specific thing. I'm using TV as an example because it's even more conservative, old school.
It's cool too. They shame you.
Yes, they invite you there. They ask you a question that you can easily find the answer to, and they treat you as if you should know it. You should memorize it, and if you don't, it shows that you're not capable to be in politics. This shouldn't be the criteria. That's not what makes a good politician. All these people, by the way, who are there, most of them, if not all, they're actors. I'm not blaming them, but like I said, it's the memes. It emerged. It ended up being that way. People, I don't think they're rational agent. I don't think they're choosing to be that, whether they know it or not, myself included. But just observing them, they have constructed this image around them that they're these perfect people who know everything. You ask them, there's no way they don't know the answer, and this is the standard, and people are expected, the people are expecting this standard from everyone. I'm playing a whole different game. I'm on a whole different reality, and I want to pass this to people that I'm there not to know everything that you're going to ask me, but to make the right decision. And if I have access to that thing, that's what matters. And if I can find the information and take a decision, this is so important. That's why I entered politics, because I want to say those things.
Yes, I agree, man. I think you're on the right path. But then again,
I'm not saying you shouldn't know anything. I'm not saying. I'm not saying.
But it's important, man. And there's so much stigma around not knowing things. I was talking to Kid Frankish the other day, and we were talking about this on my previous podcast. And it's such a shame because it discourages people from asking questions, and it actually lets people be stupid. So James York was talking to me. He was saying to me, you can either look stupid or be stupid.
Exactly. I'd rather look stupid.
I'd rather look stupid, ask a bunch of questions, figure things out. And like even in school, and I don't blame kids for doing that necessarily, because you go to school and the teacher says things along the lines of, oh, you should have known that by now, and then you feel like you're a bad person because and 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 then
Well, help me learn it.
and then you're scared to ask, man, and then you're scared to ask the next question you want to ask because you're gonna feel that thing. It's terrible, and also like we have to separate our self-worth from the things.
Yes,
The
yes.
things we know.
There's no way you're not gonna learn it when the time comes where you need to learn it. When it's time to politics again, when it's time to vote, or school, when it's time to do the project, it's the same thing, same idea. I'm gonna use politics. It's time to vote. You will learn it. You will remember it. See how it all links. It all comes together. You will. If I don't know it right now, why do I not know it? The reason is because up to now, I didn't have to know it. It was not necessary for me to know it because the problem didn't show up, right? A specific situation which would have required me to know it hasn't showed up yet. When it shows up, I will learn it, right? That's simple.
Before we close the through education, I have one last question that I've been putting a lot of thought into it, and I'm still not sure about what I think is the correct answer. I don't think it's black and white, but I'm gonna frame it black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, do you think we should have fixed curriculums at school?
No.
At all. So
I mean, the ideal model that I described,
and
I think it doesn't fit to that. That's not the natural way of learning. I think the natural way is learn what you need to learn at the time, what's useful to you. And many people could say, you hear this all the time from parents. Oh, my child has gaps. We need to fill in the gaps. The gaps will be filled when the time comes. And we talked about chaos and order before. You know how chaos works, how it's all chaos and then it comes in order. When it's time to come in order, it will come in order. Like, of course, in a specific context. Let's pick a topic, whatever, history. I need to learn something about history. All the information of history is chaos, it's everywhere, right? I know some of it, I know parts of it. When I have a specific project, I will use certain pieces of that information. Those information, they will come in order when the time comes. So if I knew 5 things out of whatever 8 that I had to learn, the other 3 that are missing, I'm gonna fill them up when the time comes. I don't have to have them filled up 24/7, in any given moment I have to know everything. No. Even now I don't know anything, but when you ask me a question, information comes up and I answer. It's natural. Do you have an argument against this? I'm curious.
I don't have an argument against this, but something that might help the audience is when we talk about chaos, we're talking about it's not the chaos like everything's random and all over.
No.
This is not chaos.
It's information in space.
Chaos is it's in a bounded way. James York coined chaos in mathematics in 1975, and I had a podcast with him, and he gave some really good explanations of what he means by chaos. And
which, by the way, is the natural way that the universe works.
Yeah.
It's
self-organization. I'm doing a podcast tomorrow on with Stuart Kaufman on the origin.
Well, you have 2 podcasts tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wow.
One at the evening, and it's on origins of life, and basically he applied a lot of chaos theory in medicine, and origins of life and self-organization. All these systems, they're non-linear systems that are, maybe not all, but a lot of them are non-linear systems that are chaotic in nature. But chaotic doesn't mean that everything's random. It means that everything works, but it looks like they're connected in a non-linear way. And like there's a lot of systems like that. One is the way we learn. I had Tim Palmer on talking to me about chaos theory in weather, which you might think, oh, what a boring topic. It's not boring at all. It's fascinating. And there's billions of things that affect weather, and these computers that have all these billions of variables, and there's this chaotic system, and the weather Yeah, we don't know if it's gonna like sometimes it's rain, sometimes it's sunny, but there is structure, guys, in the weather. But it's chaotic. So that's what we mean by chaos.
Can you clarify that what is a non-linear system and a linear system, just for people to understand?
Sure. So in mathematics, and I'm not gonna make explain it as good as someone else, but in mathematics, let's say you have three equations, three we'll call them differential partial equations. So a good way to explain this is a three-body problem. For instance, let's say you have the moon, the earth, and the sun, and you're trying to understand how these things affect each other. So you have these three variables that affect each other, and you don't really, well, it's really hard to create a model because small initial conditions make a drastically different outcome. Changes in small initial conditions make a drastically different outcome occur. For instance, let's say when we're talking about weather, you have something like atmospheric pressure and you change it by 0.001. That, alongside other small changes, will make a sunny day turn into a hurricane. And this is not me like exaggerating. This is how it works. Really small things. You can see this. The first non-linear system. Oh, I think it's the first. But
You're describing the non-linear now?
yeah.
Okay.
So do you know a Lorentz equation?
No. So the linear would be that the change that happens is proportionate to the result.
Yeah.
Kind of.
So linear means that if imagine an equation, a set of equations. If I change the x equals 1 to x equals 50, it's going to be more proportionate. But in a non-linear
Closer to 50 times more. Let's say.
let's say or proportional. You can
Right.
have
Right.
So you can have a linear dynamical system that has an exponential graph. That's not a problem. But with chaos theory,
The non-linear is more unpredictable.
much more
predictable.
and it's very sensitive to initial
And it doesn't fit into a specific graph. It's more random in space, or
there's different types of
yeah.
There's chaotic systems. There's also something we call limit cycles, but you can't
cycles repeating themselves.
Yes, and so you can, like the Lorentz graph. Where is I'm recording? I can't show you, but it's beautiful. Like the Lorentz equation, you can see this initially random thing that isn't random. Once you put it in a graph, you can see
it takes shape.
Yeah, Edward Lorenz was in 19. If you want to learn more about it, guys, go read Gleick's book, Chaos: Making New Science. It's good. But this is how this is what a nonlinear system is. It's sensitive to initial conditions, and there's a bunch of variables, and you change them a little bit, and they provide different outcomes. And anyway, sorry, we've been backtracking. Maybe I could have made a better explanation.
No.
There's so many different ways to attack this topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your explanation. Do you know what a double pendulum is?
A double pendulum. I have to see it.
So a double pendulum is, imagine we have like a stick here and a stick here, and you have and here it attaches to an object that's made of two pieces. So it's gonna be piece number 1, piece number 2.
Right.
And this can rotate. So
yes, yeah.
So this is double pendulum.
Yeah.
So if I give it a swing, this is gonna rotate. This is gonna move in a very chaotic way. So me and you sit here and we're trying to clap when we think it's gonna stop rotating around. It's gonna be really hard. We will be getting it, or if we think it's gonna go this way, actually it's gonna go this way. Then we think it's gonna go this way. So it's chaotic. But I use this angle. Let's say it was 90 degrees. So if I change it to a degree that's 89 degrees, so it only changes by 1, it's gonna produce a completely different behavior. But then slightly different behavior.
Completely.
It's proportional to 1 degree. It's completely different.
But still unpredictable.
Yes. So you can predict it short term, but it's really hard to.
Because I'm thinking maybe a different case would have been, you change it a bit, it's predictable. You change it a bit, it's unpredictable.
In long term, it's usually unpredictable. So this is a really interesting. Sorry, completely.
That's so interesting.
But it completely like changed topics. But So what they do in weather is really interesting.
Yeah.
So Palmer came with ensemble forecasts. So he says, guys, we have to model, and it relates to what we were talking about, uncertain, not knowing. We have to model the uncertainty inside of our science when we're doing weather. So he created ensemble forecasting, and he says, we have so many variables. We know that if each variable changes slightly, it's going to create a different outcome.
Mhm.
So we're going to come with a system of possible outcomes. So in this first case, let's say we have a bunch of variables where it might be atmospheric pressure, the other one might be the winds, and you change a little bit the numbers, 0.001. And you say, okay, this dictates that there's going to be 30% rain. And then you have option 2, and that option might say there is a 40% chance of sun. So you create a system of different possible ways outcomes by and this is really interesting. And he was telling me, like, when you hear someone not,
But he gives you one result, right? One possible result for the weather.
no, for instance, he was giving me this nice example of, I think it was 1920. There was a storm in the UK. And
No, I mean in the news, in the forecast, they tell you the weather is like the temperature is going to be this.
well, if you go on your phone, let's say, and you see it's gonna say to you, tomorrow it's gonna be like 20%. It's gonna
Yeah.
have an emoji of maybe it's gonna rain.
Yeah,
Like it's 20%.
that's very specific.
So it's not it's specific, but it's specific about the possibility. It's not saying it's definitely going to rain. It's telling you it's a 20% possibility.
But the temperature is specific.
So question, I don't know about the temperature. This was more so about
Okay, yeah.
raining, hurricanes.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
instance, in this case, and I'll close,
Mhm.
like with the case in the UK,
Yeah.
you had a hurricane that caused did a lot of damage
Yeah.
in the 1920s. And if they run the forecast with ensemble forecasting, when they created ensemble forecasting, and they showed we could have predicted not that there was going to be a hurricane, is an important distinction, but there's a high probability of having a hurricane. So that I think 30 or 40%.
So I'm thinking they take the possible outcomes of this system and you take the average, kind of, not necessarily average, maybe it's weighted average, but
This is a good question. I think with ensemble forecasting, you're just giving the what might happen, and I don't know how you bring it to the people
yeah.
again as the forecast.
Exactly, because if you say there's 30% chance of rain, that 30% is a specific number. Maybe it was this outcome is 70%, this outcome is 10%, this outcome is I don't know if I'm
I don't
simplifying
know,
it.
I don't know how they like almost funnel it back to like the forecast. But what she was explaining to me is there's no such thing as the forecast.
Yeah.
It's a set of different forecasts, which
You think it's accurate, like the weather forecast generally around the world?
I don't know, bro.
Mm.
I'm not really qualified to have an answer to that. I don't know. When I say qualified, I mean I have no idea. I haven't studied it. But it's why things like climate change is like complicated, because it's chaotic system. It's like we're trying to find trends, and it's kind of hard to find trends. It's because these things have so many variables.
Yeah.
Small changes change them drastically.
Let me go use the restroom now.
Ναι, καλό. Εν καλά, διότι άρχισες με τώρα να μιλώ για...
Να σου πω, if the podcast is good,真的하수지는 보면 I don't care. It's more important. Allow me to say one final thing about this, the unpredictability.
Sure.
I want to relate it again back to politics and the media, because the media, I'm very interested in the media. In highly unpredictable spaces and fields, like, for example, so many people, their occupation is to be a political analyst, an economic forecaster, and all that. In this highly unpredictable spaces, I read a book by Daniel Kahneman, Nobel Prize winner, Thinking Fast and Slow. He explains how the forecast is essentially random. I'm not going to attempt to explain it. It's a whole chapter about it. Chapters. Go read the book, Thinking Fast and Slow. This notion of the expert, there is no such thing as an expert in certain fields in highly unpredictable spaces. So you see all these people putting on a show on TV or talking about half an hour maybe 1 hour, maybe 2 hours, the whole night about what's gonna happen. It's all blah blah. They don't know. And if they think they know, that's even more concerning. I would prefer if they are acting. Because if they're not acting, their ignorance is insane. And Kahneman is using a real life example in the book where they hired him to predict certain things about the stock market or the economy, a specific firm, etc. And he had told them that it's basically random, and that what they are doing, he got the data from the past years, and he concluded that it's basically random. Like, half the time they were correct, half the time they were wrong, half the time the decision was wise, half the time it was not. And when he presented it to them, of course they were not happy, but they went on with their lives, because admitting that would I mean, so many people's jobs would lose meaning. And like, someone who is honest and understands the science behind it, they wouldn't be a good conventional political analyst. It would be a great one, but for the people, he would suck, because nobody would invite him on TV. You're not gonna invite someone on TV who's gonna tell you it's random, I have nothing to say.
Not sure.
I'm not sure about it. Yeah, well, this people who appear highly confident, and they seem to analyze everything so well. People, of course, they don't know. They believe them. So this concept of the expert, and this, we can expand on this, because this concept of the expert, even in politics, I'm not going to use economy and other fields, in politics, which is really relevant in our conversation. I don't buy into this. I'm an expert. What do you mean you're an expert? If I care about the topic and I know about the topic as a citizen, as a simple citizen, I'm not a politician, I'm a simple citizen who is a candidate. If I don't know anything about a topic, and I start fresh and I go into it and I learn everything, I think I know more than you. Even if you have spent 20 years studying it, you might be, closed-minded. You might be blinded. You might be blind, because the answer could be next to you, but because you're so zoomed in, you think you know everything. I'm outside. I'm like, okay, give me the information. I can see you. I can see everything. So I could be better equipped than you. So I take this concept of the expert with a grain of salt, scientifically based, thinking fast and slow. Daniel Kahneman.
That's a good example, man. Very good example. We talked about Daniel Kahneman in one of the other episodes, specifically about thinking fast and slow too, with James York. And I think the concept has application of system 1, system 2 has application in so many things.
The person you spoke with, is he critical of the book, or is he?
No, he loves it.
He loves it.
Yeah, he was speaking to me about it. But yeah, it's a shame. I think Daniel Kahneman died a couple of years ago.
Yeah, in 24. I think.
While we were talking, I have this really bad thing, because things come into my mind, and then I'm like, oh, no, I'm gonna listen to whoever's sitting there. Now, I'm not gonna like interrupt. And then
It's a conversation.
and then I forget. Yeah, but I like I was listening to this audio about how to be a good listener, and it says you have to like zoom in and focus on the other person. Like,
You're a good listener. You're a good listener.
yeah, but I shouldn't. I don't want to interrupt. That's why.
But
about this is what I was going to say about randomness. And Palmer was saying to me that if you want to see if something is scientific, check if they're having a way to systematize uncertainty, or at least how much do they admit there's some uncertainty, and what are they doing about it? So are they identifying uncertainty? And the other pillar is quantifying it.
Exactly.
So
how much uncertainty?
quantify.
How much uncertainty? Because
Which is not the same as being ignorant.
no,
It's not the same.
no, it's different. Again, what I said earlier, I'm referring to highly uncertain spaces.
Mhm.
Forecasting, especially in the stock market, and even in what's going to happen in politics and geopolitics and all that, is highly uncertain. This is a highly uncertain space. In spaces where there's low uncertainty, yes, you can make predictions, and you can say my prediction is 30%, like this is 30% likely to happen, or it's 70% accuracy, or whatever. You can be more specific. But in highly unpredictable spaces, even attempting to do that, it's kind of foolish if you really
Yeah,
understand it.
yeah.
It's because if it's random, it's full. You can say your personal opinion. It's an opinion. It's not a fact. You cannot be scientific, with numbers. So, which is what they're doing on TV.
Yeah, it just sells more, man. I think that's what it boils down into. If you bring a nice, charismatic person and you sit them down and they say to you, well, to be honest to you, I'm not sure. But I can explain to you why I'm not sure, and I'm gonna explain to you how I've identified and quantified a certain.
Yeah.
Like, I'll
Yeah,
get this
yeah.
guy out of here. We have 10 minutes. I don't.
Yeah.
But if you bring this real
Confident person.
Trump-ish type of, this is what's going to happen, and people are like, oh, this is what's going to happen. But
Should I become more like this when I go on TV? You tell me.
for the first 30 seconds of your shot, and then you have to explain properly. Right. I'm really interested in your editing and chess. And there's something that you might not expect me to ask, but it's also with managing your time. Because it's something that I'm trying to understand. How should I manage my time? I've read a few, I read one from, I think it's David Alla, Stress-Free Productivity.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. I read it last year.
Feel good productivity? No.
No, I think
It's
the art of stress-free productivity.
Oh, okay.
So it was a good book. That definitely helped.
I read one from Aziz Gazipur, feel good productivity.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. But anyway, I will definitely check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's start with editing. So tell us, you already kind of mentioned to us the last year and a half. You were Phidias's editor for a year and a half. I want to understand the key lessons you've learned.
By the way, I did a lot more at Phidias team. Like, I was helping with everything. I changed so many roles, and at one point I was managing the whole team. But I was editing, I would say, 1.5 is like 18 months. Maybe 15 out of the 18 months, I was doing some editing, for sure.
What have you learned from editing about human attention, about psychology, about I want to leave it open, but
Yes.
you can your lessons don't need to be directly
For
the fade in like it's
Yeah. I'm glad you're asking this. No, I'm gonna speak about how it relates to human behavior and psychology. Editing, it's storytelling. Like, when we say editing, many people think of someone just having a laptop and doing cuts. That's the technical part. The difference, there are editors and there are software users. Anyone can be a software user. You can learn a software. The editor, when we say editor, when I say I'm an editor, I mean that I am a thinker. I'm not just, doing the technical things, the cuts, adding a transition, an effect. Okay, of course, the artistic side is important as well. But number one is the story. The story. People are drawn to stories, beginning, middle, end. You have to have a strong hook to capture people's attention, whether it's a visual hook or a auditory hook, or both, even better. And then there's not just one way of doing it, but a good story, it could start kind of the most important information in the beginning, and then you go more into the details. It's smooth, and you conclude, and it's a nice short hook. Most important things, then less important, not less important, but more details, etc. So you make it simple for the people. I understand what this is about. I understand what these people is gonna say, and if I want to listen more, there are more details, I can stay. There's this concept that we use, like when I speak with the editors in the beginning, when I didn't know anything, they used to tell me, I was doing the trailer, or it has no flow. They used to has no flow. I'm like, what is this? What do you mean flow? What does flow mean? Like, I can't explain it. They tell me, something you feel, And of course, after a few months, I understood what they meant. It's flow and retention. It's sort of like flow determines retention, because if it has flow, the person who watches it, they can't leave, they can't skip, they can't scroll, because it has flow. It's like you go in a journey. It's like you understand what I mean. So if the flow stops at some point, maybe it's in the retention, it dips. because people scroll. So that's really important, keeping people's attention. Like, you have to ask yourself every single second, every single moment. Maybe they leave, maybe they leave. What do they feel right now? What are they thinking? Maybe they're confused. Maybe you should have explained the term first. Then maybe you should give the context and then expand on the term. If you start expanding too fast and they don't know what you're talking about, maybe they're like, oh, I don't understand. They go away. It's just an example. These are the kinds of things that we think when we make a video. What was I saying? Oh, there's other ways to make it. It doesn't have to be most important information first. Sometimes maybe if you know there are certain words, certain topics that grab people's attention, maybe you put a certain word first, even if it's a detail or even if it's not the most, should I say, the most conventional or expected way to make the video. Maybe you add that word so that it stays in their mind. They make that association that I'm gonna watch this, and then you can choose to take them where you want. And I'm gonna connect this with media literacy. Everything we watch on the internet, which somebody has filmed, somebody has said something, somebody has edited this. There's been a process for it to end up like this, for you to watch it. We have to constantly ask the question of, what is in the video, what is not in the video, and the order that the stuff was put in. Because, even in politics, I'm not gonna lie, it's deliberate most of the times. You want to pass a certain message, a certain agenda. It's not bad. It's just maybe the agenda you're pushing is really good for the people, but still, you are using. I don't want to use the word manipulation because it has a negative connotation. But there has been a thought behind it. Like, somebody has thought of it, and you're not thinking of what they have been thinking when they made it. You're just consuming it. So when I'm editing something, maybe I wanted to put this first to hook you because it's emotional, for example, and I know you're going to feel something. And then you stay and you listen to what I want, and I leave only what I want you to listen. And you don't know what I left out.
Control the narrative.
I control the narrative, and I choose the order by which you listen to the information. You can't imagine how important that is. People might think it's a detail. It's not. It's everything. It's like, if I say, let's say, I'll give the most simple example. There are two things, A and B. If I say the A thing first, and the people like it, they instantly have a positive feeling towards me when I start speaking. Like, I like this kid. And then when I say the B thing, which could be slightly controversial, they will accept it because they already like me. They will think about it like they should. They shouldn't, I don't believe in attacking people because we disagree. So I do this so that they can accept what I have to say. If I put number B first and then A, they already got mad. I don't know if they're gonna watch A. They're probably already in the comments cursing me. And even if they watch A, they don't care. They already decided. They already decided that this kid is an idiot. I don't care what he said after. And A, even though they agree with A, hearing it after B, they may, if you ask them, they may say, I disagree with A. Though they don't disagree. They only disagree because they made up their minds. They're not acting logically. They're acting based on the emotion they felt initially. Anyway, it's human psychology, human behavior.
And also, I think people make quick judgments, and it's really. I have a couple examples actually. I love fighting, so I love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and I love mixed martial arts. I train twice a day, every day. I don't take rest days.
Should I be scared? You love fight. You love fight.
Well, I love fighting in the gym. I hate fighting outside of the gym. I never get into fight. But do you know what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is?
Kind of. But you can tell me more.
Hugging.
Yeah. I have a friend who does jiu-jitsu. I don't know if it's Brazilian or
Brazilian.
no.
There's also Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, which is
What is it?
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the kind of more mainstream sport. There's also Japanese Jiu-Jitsu.
It's probably Brazilian. Anyway, yeah.
But
I have a friend.
it's funny you say that because I live with 5 guys in the UK. We all do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA together. We met at the gym.
Wow.
And I was not gonna say it, but there's a funny thing that apparently to be good at jiu-jitsu you need to be autistic and you need to be gay. It's just a joke in the community.
Yeah, I get it. Because you're
But
grappling and you're
it's
on
funny.
the floor.
Yeah. It's funny you say to me, should I be scared? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm thinking, yeah, maybe scared that I'm autistic. And
In that way.
anyway,
That's more scary.
we like the gays, guys. It's no problem.
That's more scary than fighting.
So, anyway, but oh, sorry, I went on a tangent there. What was I about? Yeah. So I go to America sometimes to train because the best martial arts gyms are for some reason are in Austin, Texas, or at least some of the best in the world for jiu-jitsu. So when I go there, I meet a lot of people, and I made some good friends while I was out there. And we used to hang out together because people come from Norway. From my friend Albert came from Norway, and we spent the whole summer together there. Hugo from Belgium, Kai and Sam from Australia.
You train for competitions?
I train for competition. Well, I train because I love it. I mean, I have a lot of intrinsic value.
No, wrong question. You participate in competitions?
Yeah. Lately I'm trying to more. I was a little skeptical in the beginning because I noticed that a lot of people they don't love the sport. They love medals. They love attention. And what I want is to love the sport, man. And lately I've been able to do both because I understood that. Well, because I've started teaching more and I've realized that also competition has a lot to give you, like a lot of discipline, being calm under pressure. So I'm finding interesting value in the competition itself.
That's good.
To love the competition.
That's good.
But the reason I'm mentioning it is because I met Sam at my first. So initially, my friend Sam, and when I was in America, and the initial interaction I had with him, some miscommunication.
My friend's name is also Sam, but I don't think he's the same person.
Really, blonde.
He's in Ireland. I don't think you met him.
No, he's
Ireland and Italy.
It's
same name.
But it's funny because the A that you were saying,
yes,
is I had a small miscommunication with Sam, and for like a good month, we didn't like each other. Like not a big time. Not
first
like,
impression. But first impression.
That 10 seconds, man.
Yeah.
It took us a month to break it, and then by the second month, we became friends. And we're like, man, what the hell? Like, you're a really nice guy. I'm a really nice guy. And but it's so like if you switched it around, and that's 10 seconds were a month into the friendship.
I mean, you can win them over. I feel like if you like something, if you vibe with something, sooner or later, if it keeps showing up, like, okay, let's say it accidentally happened once.
Yeah.
If it shows up, let's say for you page or real life, 10 times, and you like it 10 times, you're gonna end up liking it because you're gonna change your mind. So
yeah. So with editing, just to summarize, you've realized that storytelling is really important, and it's important for everything in the narrative to flow well, almost like
river.
There's no gap for there to like sneak out and leave the video because it flows nicely.
The gap could be anything. What you named as gap could be, it could be a pause. It could be not having a pause. Sometimes at certain moments, maybe you leave the pause. And if you don't, they get tired. Because it's constant. So it could be...
What other... tell me more things about what a gap would be.
I mean... No, we should call it something else instead of a gap. It's like reasons for people to leave.
Yeah.
This reason could be having a pause, not having a pause. It could be not having context. If they don't understand what they're listening to, they may skip. They may not wait. They're not gonna wait. You have to. They always have to feel like they know what's going on. All this is subconscious. Subconsciously, they shouldn't feel this thing that, oh, I'm uncomfortable. Oh, I'm not sure what's going on here. They might scroll. That's why simplicity works really well. Phidias does it really well. Simplicity, explaining stuff, context.
What about things like B-rolls and music? How important are they?
Huge. B-roll, the whole Phidias team and Phidias brand, I think, no exaggeration, I should say they, I shouldn't say we. I don't know if I should say we, but they invented a new genre. Like, if you watch their videos, nobody in Cyprus, and I think even worldwide, is creating those types of videos. Those, first of all, this is a global innovation, in my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong, but I've never seen 7-minute shorts
I've been noticing it.
from, and I'm not talking now. I'm years ago, not now. Like, it's been a few years that some people in VDS team are making 7-minute shorts, 8-minute shorts, full of B-roll, explanatory B-roll. They standalone shorts, valuable content, explaining a topic, showing B-roll from everywhere, creating a story. And the B-roll, they make the content unique, and the people, again, subconsciously, some people maybe consciously, they're looking forward to the video because they know they're going to learn something, because they know it's not just going to be the two speakers or one speaker speaking. It's just they're going to learn something from the B-roll. So the value of the B-roll is huge, and I think that if you watch VDS's content, it's innovative. Music is, again, subconsciously it plays a huge role. I was making the podcast intros. The music was so important because it sets the tone. You can choose one track and it can make people feel a certain thing. You can choose a different one and it can make them feel something else, depending on what vibe you want to give. You make them feel something. For example, if you listen to some of my intros without music, obviously, huge difference. With different music, again, huge difference. I can make something sound more dramatic and people will be hooked. I can make it sound happier, which could work either way. If I make it sound happier, I may lighten it up if it's a serious topic, but it could go a different way. If it's not done well, and they start consciously thinking that, oh, if they start hearing the music and they say, oh, somebody put this here to make me feel that's not good. That means I'm not a good editor. I didn't achieve my goal. They shouldn't be able to notice all those things. I know I succeeded if they're not commenting on those things. If they comment on the topic, on what it's saying, and they say, oh, amazing thing, where can I see this? Where can I see this? I succeeded. If they say, why did you choose his track there? They shouldn't have noticed it, I think. It's a good insight.
Interesting. So, okay, I have a few more questions just because I'm trying to learn how to edit.
Oh, yeah.
I went from terrible to terrible, but a bit less terrible. Like
1%.
my housemate, Ben, he has a page. He does this Christian content. It's really cool. In the UK. By the way, who knew that churches look so different in the UK? Have you ever been in a church in the UK?
I don't think so.
Well, not all of them, but because there's Coptic, there's Protestant, but I go to church nearly every Sunday, and not every Sunday, and but I try to. And they have electric guitars, they have pianos, they have drums, and
Why not?
they sing songs. It's really cool. Anyway, sorry, that was just a small part.
I was in a not church in Ireland. We were doing this. We were singing. It was a music society. I went there on Erasmus, and it was what you're saying. We were singing.
So cool. It's so
cool.
I'm not used to this. As in Cyprus, guys, it's a little bit different. It's kind of they've almost successfully evolved the church to something that would involve the young people, and the old people, but
To something that would
involve the youngsters too.
in the church.
Well,
I think they don't involve the youngsters.
in the UK,
They do.
Well, when I go to church on Sunday, it's a lot of young people, a lot of middle-aged people, a lot of old people. In Cyprus, it's kind of mainly old people.
Yeah.
So they've clearly, when I see and contrast it, they've clearly done something correct. At least in Brighton, where I live, they've clearly done something correct.
In the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Cyprus, definitely not.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So yeah, they've definitely done something correct. Yeah, so he has a page. So he's told me a couple things, like really, really basic things the last month or two. So I kind of focused on having good audio and making sure the quality of the video is high in terms of being high definition, and slowly trying to understand, okay, how to use B-roll effectively on music. So how do you choose the right type of music for the video? Do you go to
Tell you. Audio, by the way, is more important than video. If you have, both are important, but if you have good audio with a bad video, they might watch it. If you have terrible audio with a great video, they can't watch it. They can't watch it. Anyway, music. Yeah, I mean, when I was in FDS team, we were using Epidemic Sounds, but there are free platforms like Pixabay. I go in there. If it's a trailer, usually the things that I search for most often are suspense, tension, trailer or dramatic stuff like that. And I use different tracks in the intro. Not always. Sometimes I can use the same one if it fits. If I want it to feel like a unifying thing. But usually, if it's a high production thing and I want to be detailed, I use multiple tracks on the same one, sound effects, and I play with the volume as well. Sometimes it's louder, sometimes it's lower. Strategically, you might stop the music and let the people speak at the end, raw of at the end of a phrase, and then transition. What else? Yeah, if it's something emotional, I just search emotional, sad. I may search based on instrument like piano. And honestly, there's no blueprint. I cannot tell you more specifically than that. It's just I hear it with the rest of the stuff. I see how it feels. I see how it sounds, and I know if it's good or not. I trust my ears. I trust my judgment, and there's no right or wrong. I see the result as well. I see if the video has gone well. I mean, the music was probably good. Maybe it wasn't. I can never know for sure because maybe it could have gone better if I chose a different track. Who knows? But I think when you do it for some time, this is experience. You get it by experience. Nobody can tell you. Trial and error. Trial and error. Try different tracks. See what works. You can get somebody else's opinion. Because obviously when we hear it, we are. How do I say? We could be blind of some stuff.
Well, you zoom in and then you have no clue like that.
I take breaks. I take breaks. Usually when I get to a certain point, I leave it and I come back. I do something else completely different. I rest my ears. I come back and I listen to it again. And that helps with the volume as well. I don't always get it right. I don't think it should be too loud. I don't think it should be too noticeable, the music. It should be used strategically. When it comes to terms of when it comes to being loud, using music loudly, I think it could be a bit lower. It's there, but you don't really know it's there, so it drives you. I think it should be subconscious. It's not the rule. I'm just giving ideas.
And what about? I mean, you have your own channel now.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm correct that you want to grow your own channel.
I mean, it's crazy. If you asked me the same question 3 weeks ago, I would have given a different answer. I started this channel with the name of the podcast was Checkmate Talks. I rebranded it because after I was a candidate, I had to change it for my name so they know who I am. This channel was intended to be an all-around podcast. I wanted to bring all kinds of people, scientists, athletes, musicians, politicians, all kinds of people. Now it ended up being a 100% political channel. And it will stay that way until the elections, at least, depending on what's going to happen afterwards. I want to expand it. By the way, parenthesis, side note, a lot of people have been accusing me, not just me, have been accusing us, like Fidias and all that he put his own people to be candidates in his party and stuff like that. Oh my God. What a lie. What a stupid story. If it was like that, why did I start my channel and I named it Checkmate Talks? Because I was intending for it to be a channel for the podcast. It's proof that I had no intention of being a candidate. It's proof. And after I was a candidate, I couldn't fucking change the username because TikTok tells you can change it once every 30 days or whatever. And it stayed like that, and I only recently changed it. So if somebody has been following me and is not just saying stuff because that's what they want to push, they know that we're honest. And I was not. They're saying that it was a planned thing, premeditated, that we were gonna, put our candidacy towards the end, last minute, whatever. No, that's exactly when I decided. That's actually, honestly, when I decided.
I have no doubts.
Yeah. I mean, it's useful for me, the fact that they're saying that, because it gives me more power. Nobody knew me. All of a sudden, they associate me with Phidias, Luganicos, Lauris, which I am associated with them. It's not a lie. It helps me with my campaign. Yeah.
It's crazy. It reminds me of the Jim Jeffries. He's a comedian, and he had this bit, and he was saying, well, if there's some kind of heated interaction between two people, let's say you and the person accusing you, all you can do is just be nice to them, because at least everyone else can understand that. If one person speaks hate, and other people it's just love, it's like they can't see like what's going on.
Yeah.
And in this case of politics, you care more about like the public perception. Like maybe our social interaction you don't care as much, but
Yeah.
this
About growing the channel, it's not that I don't want to grow it. I want to grow it now because it helps me with my campaign. It helps me get elected. Otherwise, my intention was to do this now until I finish uni, like for a year max, a few months, do the podcast, speak with some interesting people, don't care about whether it grows or not. I learned stuff, and then I was planning on moving out of Cyprus and focusing on English content, and that's what I would like to grow, not this. So that's why my reaction was this when you asked me, because honestly, I didn't care about growing this. I cared about growing the English one in the future, but nothing's changed, so I do care now.
Why don't you make this? Just a suggestion. Why don't
Sure.
you every 5 podcasts you do
One English.
you do one English, or you do even a Greek one, but on a topic that's outside politics?
Yeah, but I feel like now that there's the elections, it's a waste because I could have done a Greek one in politics. So everything has to count for it. So I know I did the most I could.
Yeah.
But after, whether I get elected or not, this will happen for sure. No matter the result, this will happen.
Good.
What you said, yeah.
Good. I'm doing the opposite next month. So I have exams in medicine in June. So it's really silly. So
Why?
I was talking to Barry Lower. He's a philosopher of physics, and we had a great discussion about a lot of things I don't understand.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, I understood them a little bit more by the end. And he told me, why don't you also do podcasts with people in medicine, and you can like ask them, well, you can learn about a lot of the things you're studying at school too. And so I'm doing a bunch of podcasts in May with really good doctors that and physicians and people that are experts on the topics. I have exams in June, kind of. So that so it's great because I'm gonna learn about really interesting topics, and also it helps me with school.
Yeah.
And
The exam will seem easier.
yeah, so that's because I was telling it like, because I'm like, okay, I need to work for my exams, but I also do podcasting. I'm like,
Depending on how the exam is, like for example, at uni, if they ask really specific questions where you have to memorize stuff, it probably wouldn't help me. But if they ask questions where they require critical thinking and knowledge of a topic, for example, I don't know, media literacy. By the way, I have an exam tomorrow on media literacy. If it's a critical thinking exam, I mean, I could have been better prepared for it because I'm a creator. I'm running a campaign. Obviously, I'm gonna ace the exam because I'm in the topic I'm interested. I don't need to study anything. But if it gets specific, bullet points and have to learn this, I guess it doesn't help me. But who cares? The important stuff is understanding the topic, not doing well on the exam.
But even with specific things come naturally in conversation. Like if I'm talking to one of the modules I'm doing this year is on psychiatric disorders.
Yeah.
If I'm talking to a psychiatrist, there's bound to be overlap.
But what I mean is that maybe the exam requires things to be written in a specific way, because things are not like the school curriculum. For example, they say there's 5 general topics or 5 reasons that this is happening. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not 5. You can make a model where there's 10. You can break them down into each one has branches or whatever, or maybe those 5 you can express them in a category of 3.
Yes.
Right. So that's what I mean. That I know those things, but I may not know how to write them in the way that I'm expected to determine by the exam. That's what I mean. I might not do well in the exam. Doesn't mean I don't know the topic.
100%. I've given up on. I've noticed this a lot. Like, I've given up on trying to see these two things as different. Like, I'm like, knowledge is knowledge, and Fortunately, when it comes to my degree, we don't really have the thing of, okay, these are the 5 reasons. We do have this a lot in like primary school and perhaps even in the late stages of high school. I think it's not easy anymore in medicine to do that because it's complicated. Like there's so many factors, and especially when it comes to drug development, and like it's really hard as a lecturer in medicine to come and say, these are the 5 things these are the 5 symptoms of this disease. Because it's not as um it's not as smooth. The reality of medicine is not smooth. Like there's a bunch of different, let's say you have nephrotic syndrome and you're trying to see the evidence about prednisolone, which is a certain drug, on the episodes of nephrotic syndrome that patients have. You do a bunch of studies, and every study, has a little bit, maybe they have a different sample size, maybe they have a different hazard ratio, whatever. I don't want to get into the specifics, but what I'm trying to say is it's very hard to come out with really hard narratives and present them in a very specific way, which is good. Because then I can treat all knowledge as knowledge, even if it's coming from school, even if it's coming from Google or whatever. But I did have this problem, and I did have this problem growing up, and especially in Cyprus. I noticed these kind of, these are the 3 reasons they lost the war. These are I'm glad that doesn't exist as much anymore. And even if it does, I tried, and even if it does, if I do see it in like uni, I just tried to, I'm like, okay, this is like.
If I was a teacher or a professor and I was forced by the educational system to make an exam like this, I would wanna reward the student who would come up with a different model, not what I ask, which is really interesting. I would give them more marks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how school should be. It shouldn't limit creativity. It should open your mind. You should feel better after doing the exam. You should do it because you love the subject and you love it so much. You want to learn more. You want to ask questions, not have all the answers. It's the opposite. You are so worried, so anxious that, oh, I don't know the answer. Don't know the answer. Why does that fucking matter? That's the wrong question to ask. That's the wrong thing to focus on. Yeah.
Yeah. York was saying to me, when it comes to making interesting mistakes, I think he was talking to me about that. He talked a lot about Einstein in the podcast and Maxwell and how Einstein understood the world of Maxwell. But a lot of the time, innovation comes from, I understand what you're saying to me slightly differently. And then if you ask a third person that's examining both of us, I've fucked up. But then I actually didn't fuck up. I've kind of built upon that mistake, and perhaps it's not as much as a mistake that I initially thought, if that makes sense.
Of course.
Yeah, it's a different point of view. And I, again, I'm not like saying everything is like, but
mistakes are not a bad thing. If you make a mistake, could be the best thing you ever did because it led to something else that you wouldn't have known if you hadn't made the mistake. Right? You understand this, right?
Yeah, of course.
It's like we shouldn't be shaming people making mistakes. We should be encouraging it. Failure is not a separate thing from success. It's necessary. It's a part of it.
Who is this guy? I'm trying to get him on the podcast. I don't remember. Stuart Firestein.
Many people say those things, but
he has a book. I don't remember what it's called. The Pursuit of Ignorance.
That's another book. I haven't read it, but The Pursuit of Ignorance.
I don't remember his. I'm pretty sure it's Firestein is his surname. Anyway,
I'm not sure.
He talks a lot about mistakes in learning and the importance of ignorance and asking questions, not knowing. This is really important, and it's so downplayed.
I can give you a recent example of an interesting mistake. Don't know who's gonna watch this. Like if this goes, theoretically, if this went viral, I would have thought twice saying it, but I might say it. Don't know how to say this in English. It's a political party in Cyprus, the biggest one. Lisi.
Sure.
Okay. we went to many political parties.
Democratic
I don't know.
signing. I don't know.
Yeah, we'd rather
Sounds
not get
weird.
into it. Yeah. We went to many political parties. One of them, the most interesting one, was DC. Why did we go? Me and Lucanicos went there. We were doing a live stream, and we went there to get their opinion on the way we decided to determine the candidates, the 56 candidates of direct democracy part. So we just went there to ask them, where do you disagree? The people vote for the candidates. Why is that a bad thing, And if it's not a bad thing, why are you not doing it, It's useful anyway. Maybe they have an argument and it could help us. They were waiting for us because they were watching the live stream. I think the other people called them, even though they won't admit it. I think the previous party called them. So they opened up the door, all pleasant, welcoming. We're like, whoa. Most people, they don't even allow you to film them. They want to hide. There's this thing, again, in politics. They don't like you, they're really careful on what they say because it's like they have things to hide. They're not transparent. Transparency is missing. Anyway, they were open because they were prepared. That's the key. And they view it as an opportunity to do a good PR for them, They think that, they're trying to use us for good content. We're going to use them, which is good. And she started talking, and after, I think we stayed there for an hour and a half, I don't know how much time. And she, as the conversation went on, she spotted certain problems. I don't want to call them problems. She calls them problems. I would say suggestions on how we could change our, how is καταστατικό? Change our, every political party has
It's like a manifesto.
Manifesto. It has a set of.
I'll put the word here.
Yeah. A set of rules by which the party operates, which the party itself creates. Well, I mean, the party itself creates, but they have to fall under certain broader, guidelines from the government.
And this has to be approved.
It has to be approved. So the one that was approved, I mean, we're a new party. It's a much simpler one than theirs, which, I mean, it's a party of, I don't know, over 50 years. She started spotting certain, I'm going to call them suggestions. She was calling them problems. And, there were so many people on the live stream saying, wow, she destroyed you. So many bad things about us, good things about her. I think they were prepared. I think this was organized. Could be wrong. This was organized. Anyway. And in the moment, I thought, shit, we fucked up. There's a mistake coming here. We were not planning this. We just came here to ask a simple question, which was a great idea. It was an interesting idea, so we did it. By the way, me and Lucanicos, we operate under we operate in this way. If something is fun or interesting, we do it. We don't think twice because we go where interestingness and fun is. We learned this from Kenneth Stanley.
Oh, mate, he has a good book on
greatness. Why greatness cannot be planned.
Oh, mate, it's a great. Yes. I was talking to my dad about it.
Yes. So we did it. It ended up being what I thought was a mistake, but looking at it back, after we went home, some days passed, and we're gonna upload it. It was great content, man. And it's not how I felt in the moment. I thought it was a big mistake. Some people, after we left, people were calling from the party. What the fuck did you do? Why did you go there? You fucked up. You're destroying our image. It's so bad for the party. You can't do this. I'm like, it was such an interesting mistake. Such good content came out of it. And the people who are worried, I understand why they're worried. And maybe they're partly right. I don't know. But we didn't get here by being scared and not doing those things. We got here precisely because we operate like this. And you have nothing to be scared of. If we have a mistake, great. Should have told us, we're going to fix it. If there's something to be improved, I don't want to call it a mistake. If there's something to be improved, we can fix it. By the way, oh my God, so many topics and my mind is going crazy. Let me close this and then I'll go to a different one. Let's speak about this first. This political party and their whole government and the whole system operates this way. The one that I'm going to explain now. There's this manifesto, and there's what we actually do. So what we actually did was the people voted for the candidates. The manifesto, she's making some suggestions to make it clearer. It was not even a problem. It was some suggestions, etc. It could be potentially. It's not my job. There are people who write it, people who study law, who can take care of those things. It's not even my job to speak on it. Instead of them focusing on whether they agree or not with what we actually did, the essence of what we did, the democratic thing that we did, she's talking about no. She's saying your what you did is problematic because it doesn't follow the manifesto. Why is the manifesto more important than the actual thing? If you like the actual thing that we did, okay, we can go change whatever's needed in the manifesto. That's what my logic says. The whole government, the whole system, bureaucracy, it works the opposite way. It's like, we can't do this great thing for society because the law says so. Well, change the fucking law. They're like, no, but it's a slow process and this and that. They work the opposite way. I don't know if I'm
Yeah, no, I understand.
It's like, instead of them judging the essence of it, the actually what we did, they're saying, no, but you're not following this. And she actually said it's like our manifesto. She said is like the Bible for us. I understand it. It matters. It sets the framework. It sets the rules. I get it. But the essence is what you do. Like, if the way you operate is not democratic and you have an amazing manifesto, I don't give a fuck. If what I'm doing is better for society, but I'm not there yet because I'm a new when it comes to the manifesto, because I'm a new party and I'm developing it, etc., etc. Who is better? I'm better. I'm doing it better. You shouldn't focus on that. And I think even in parliament, that's what they do. It's like the people are suffering. There's so much injustice in the system. And instead of them doing the right thing and then adopting the laws, making the necessary changes so it fits the right thing, they say, you can't do this because you can just, you can't not listen to the law. You cannot not obey to the law. Why is the law there in the first place? The law is there to help you function in a society. If the law stops helping you, it is irrational to keep obeying it. I mean, I would argue if you have to follow a certain process, I would say break the law until it changes.
Yeah.
Fucking break it until it changes. We're humans. Why do we make laws? By the way, they're so complicated. They should be simplified so that people can understand them. They should be more simplified.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said laws are there to help people.
We forget why we made them in the first place.
When they stop helping people,
the purpose of the law the purpose of the law is there to help the society. If it stops doing that, we have to go back to the basics, to the fundamentals, and fix them.
And we're prisoners of our own own rules all the time in our personal lives too. I mean, it's so many examples and so many addictions that come from these things, and also so many unnecessary behaviors. I notice them on myself all the time. I go to a counselor once a week in England, Dr. Eleanor. She's great, and she points them out. We're so blind to them all the time. It's like I go and I tell her something, and then let's say, let me think of an imposed rule I used to tell myself. I've noticed this with other people too. Like, for instance, in the past, I tried to get better at music, let's say. And I'm like, I want to do this 3 times a week, 2 hours every session, and I'm trying to get better at it. And then that's a system I've created, supposedly to help me. It's not any good if by the 4th week,
exactly,
I'm super stressed and I'm hating it. And it's not any good if, let's say, the rigidness of it becomes so big that it doesn't help the deeper purpose that was there in the first place. So you have to be really careful when creating these things. They are there to serve us, but then, yeah, sometimes it switches around and suddenly we're serving them. It's really
we become slaves of our own laws and of our own ideas, by the way.
Yeah.
And of our own, we create a company, blah, 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 and then we have to work 24/7 when we don't sleep, blah, 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 for something that we created, and we become slaves of our creation, of our idea, for example.
Exactly.
Company is just an example. Great. Thank you for saying this, because now I can transition to this. Everybody keeps asking us, they have been asking us for months, what are your positions in this part, the direct democracy part? When I say positions, I mean the other parties, they have a position on immigration, position on economy, Cyprus problem, etc. And we have been saying so far that, first of all, our position, we are with whatever is best for the citizens. And how do we decide that? We get the data for a very specific topic, because in the parliament, the topics are specific. The questions that they ask us is very general. What's your topic on this? But you'll never encounter this in parliament. In parliament, it's a specific law about immigration. In order to decide what to vote or what to propose, what to vote for, or what law to create from scratch, to propose, you have to look at the data in that given moment, and you have to be flexible enough to change your position if it changes. For
Case
example,
by case.
case by case. And if geopolitics are so uncertain, now with the wars and all that, with Trump, so unpredictable. I mean, things change. Even when it comes to Cyprus problem, they change all the time. You can have, a general idea for sure, but you shouldn't be rigid. We have been answering like this for months. Now, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if this is good. I don't care about, our image. I'm going to be honest. We're trying to have certain positions for the party so we appear more unified, because they have been attacking us on this. We're in the process of having some positions just to be able to, to appear like we know what we are saying. But the truth is what I just said. I don't know how it's going to go. Don't know if for certain topics, different people within direct democracy are going to be, allowed to speak independently and differently. I think it's very healthy to have people who disagree within the same party. They have been attacking us for this. Like, you cannot disagree within the same party. Like, one person says this, one person says the opposite, and you belong in the same party. I say, why not? Isn't that how society functions? Direct democracy is not just a party, a closed, the gate closes, you're in the party, you're out. No, we're different. We want to unify this society. The voting, where 16,000 people voted for who is going to be the candidates, was open for the whole public. Even for the other political parties, you can vote whatever you want in May when are the actual elections. You could vote it for us as well. Why not? This is democracy, and we're for the whole society. How can everyone agree on everything in a society? Direct democracy is just a, how do I say it? Not a microscope. It's like a small portion. How do I say it? Like a small copy of society. It's a small copy.
Miniature.
It's a miniature of society. So, the logical thing is that you have people who disagree with each other, and there are ways which I've participated in structured democratic dialogues, which Ioannis Damianou is doing. You should ask him about this structured democratic dialogues. We've done one about education. I can explain how it works, but anyway, to gather the information, gather those ideas, those opinions, which are disagreeing and opposite and whatever, and find what's best for a given topic, in given moment, in context, and that's healthy. That is healthy. But we're so used to, the left has this policy, the right has this policy. We're so used to this,
bro, and it's
separation.
ridiculous. It's like all the time.
How can they agree with each other, but they vote again? But how can you agree with everything that the left party is saying? Can't I agree with some of the things in certain topics, in certain times? I may agree with them generally on a certain aspect, but I may disagree specifically in the future because this has changed, right? Why should I stay there? No, I may agree with I may lean more towards the right in economy. Maybe I want free market, but on social issues, maybe I like the left more, for example. By the way, I don't like to think in terms of left, right, center.
And
I'm above
they
it.
change to the terms.
Yeah.
What do you consider like liberalism? You have neoliberalism, and what do you consider as a conservative? And these terms fluctuate. The definition of these terms fluctuates over time, and people like attach a lot of other things onto these terms, and it just it doesn't really help.
How do you say not just separation? It's like mandrisma. How do you say that? Like, is this fanaticism? I don't know how to say.
I don't know mandrism in English.
They use these political positions solely for the sole purpose of I'm looking for this word.
Like,
It's like to separate people into groups, make them think that they totally disagree with each other, hate each other, polarizing them.
yeah,
It's so foolish.
kind of divide. I don't know what.
They're asking us all the time, what's your position about the Cyprus problem? In order for me to vote for you, you need to tell me your position about the Cyprus problem, and you need to tell me the position of the party. The party consists of many people from society. You need to tell me your one single position on the Cyprus problem. Of course, different people in the party think of different things. First of all, it is not, as far as I'm aware of, it is not the parliament's job to vote on things regarding the Cyprus problem. First of all. Now, you may tell me, doesn't matter because you're going to participate in other discussions where you will have to do things regarding the Cyprus problem. Sure. When the time comes, when there's an opportunity, then we can see the data, we can get the data. It's a scientific approach, by the way. I think our approach is more scientifically sound than their rigid approach, having one position. We'll look at the data and we'll take these conflicting ideas and we'll find something that we agree on. And there are ways to do this. You have to speak with Lauris. I can explain it because I've participated in it. And that's how you come up to a result. So isn't it, why do they ask this question? They ask this question to separate people into groups. Oh, I'm for this solution for the Cyprus problem. I'm for this. We can't be on the same boat. We can't be on the same group. No, you can be at the same group, have those different opinions. You don't have to hate each other. You don't have to be separated. That's why that's a huge reason why I'm a candidate and why I chose to be, to have, the chance to be a candidate after I was voted, is because I want to stop this. And this is so important because we have turned politics like football, like soccer, different teams. You don't when one team wins, instead of clapping for the team, you hate the team. No, if a different party does something good, I'm happy because it helps the country. I'm not gonna start criticizing them publicly because I'm gonna lose, my power. These are my thoughts.
100% now, and I think you have to. Well, it's natural to disagree, especially with in a big group of people, and also, from my understanding of direct democracy, you gather what people are saying, and then you have a structured democratic dialogue.
I'll tell you exactly.
Then the majority of the people, then you try to unify things, and the majority of the
not exactly, but I'll tell you exactly. I'll tell you my experience with this Lauris dialogue. You can ask him tomorrow. He'll delve deeper for sure. So, for example, will you pick a number of people? Let's say it's education, the topic. People who are affected by it in the topic, like we said earlier in the podcast. So you may bring teachers, students, members of the society who have an opinion, psychotherapists, because psychotherapists, it has to do with how the students feel, counselors, all kinds of things, parents, etc. You gather those people, you tell them the topic, and you start with the goal. What do you want to achieve? For example, it could be what should happen to make students happier at school so that they wake up and they enjoy going to school. First of all, each person comes up with an idea and they just say the title of the idea in order. You tell us the title of your idea. Maybe mine was to make the education more free, freedom in education. The other person, maybe they say, I want more practical subjects. The other person might say, the lessons should take place in the forest, outside. Different ideas, right? Second step, after you gather those ideas, everybody votes on the ideas. Which of these ideas you prefer? Maybe you have, 50 ideas, it's random numbers, and you pick your top 5. Everybody picks their top 5, and you have a voting list. The most voted from the least voted. Next step, the fact that you voted, the fact that some ideas are higher in votes than others, it doesn't matter. These are not the ideas that will prevail, and that's it. You stop there. No, it's just the beginning. That's why I said it's not the majority, and it's not what it looks like. It's a bit more complex, because to solve those issues in society, you need more complex solutions. So complex approaches. It has to do with chaos as well.
I remember the
Yeah.
example. I don't know where I heard it from, but it's 3 guys in a room try to order food. I don't know if you've heard it. And then and all 3 of them, and they do what's supposed to be a democratic process, and then all 3 of them are dissatisfied
Yeah.
with the outcome.
Yeah.
So it's more complicated. I don't
No,
know.
this is the opposite. They're all satisfied with the outcome.
Yeah,
I'll tell you why. Because there's a set of rules. Everybody has to be equal. Nobody interrupts each other when this process happens. Oh, I skipped a step before you vote for the ideas. Sorry. First thing, you just say the title of the idea. Second round, you expand on the idea. You explain it in a paragraph, so you get more details. So when you hear the title, you think you know what the other person means, but on the second step, you really understand what they mean. Then you vote for the ideas, and then there's this formula, which there's an algorithm. They ended up on a formula that works. Laudis can tell you more why the formula is and what it is. You should ask him. And you take, for example, the most voted ideas, the formula knows, and it takes them and it compares them with the least voted and then the most voted with each other. They make different combinations. And the question is, the process is, if this idea happened, if this was, if we did this, would it be easier to do this? If we did A, would it be easier to do B? Or if A was true and it happened and it was applied, would it be easier for B to be applied as well? Like, would one help each other? And you make these correlations, and based on the answers, we just answer. We don't know what's going to happen. Based on the answers, the formula it formulates it's not a graph. It's a result with branches. It's branches. It starts with some ideas here, then like on the basis, then it's lower on the, how do I say it? Not graph. I don't know how to say. It's like it starts with some ideas, then there's a branch, and it leads to more and more and more ideas, and you find them, and
like a mapping,
like a mapping, and it ends up with certain actionable steps. I'm not sure if there's a framework for the ideas to be actionable as well. I'm not sure exactly, but it ends up with the result. And this result, how did it come? How did we end up on this result? Everybody has voted, has participated on every combination, so we were part of the result, and nobody is mad that their idea did not end up being in the result because their idea is part of the branch. So maybe your idea is not that it's not important, but it's done in such a way so that change actually happens. The idea that helps the most other ideas happen will end up being, for example, the most useful. It cannot go wrong. This formula, the most useful idea will be the answer, and then the other one, and the other one, and the rest of the ideas, they are under them. They are like just a smaller branch. It's not that they are separate from the answer, but maybe your idea was good, but it's not the one that will bring change. Maybe we have to do this first, and then it will make it easier for your idea to happen as well. So everything is part of the answer. Everybody's happy because they voted for the best, the ideas they wanted more, they liked more, and they voted for all the combinations, which one makes it easier, which one doesn't, etc. So you feel satisfied and you feel part of this process. You listened to everyone, you understood everyone's ideas, you became wiser, you gained more knowledge. When you went home, you did more research on the topic. You become a better person, you become a more informed citizen. I think these kinds of things is just one example. There are many. I mean, a referendum is one thing, is one example, one form of direct democracy. This is another one, you see, much more complex than just a referendum with a majority. There are many forms of direct democracy, many more things like this. Ioannis Damianou is a better person than me to speak on them, but I think if we move towards this in society, it will be a better world.
I think this is genius.
Yeah.
I think this is a great idea.
Yeah.
Just to recap in simple terms, instead of having 10 people vote, shall we choose red, green, or blue?
Mm.
And then red comes. You find a way to integrate. I mean, colors is a bad example, I think, because it's very
Yeah.
categorical.
Yeah. Sorry.
But
Sorry. Is the ideas you don't tell them which one is come up with feasible ideas. No feasibility. Full creativity. Feasibility kills creativity. In the beginning, when you tell me your ideas, you leave it open, completely open. We don't care if it's doable, because before you told me what's your ideal model of school. No, you can say anything. And then feasibility will come into play. When you're going to vote, you're going to come into which one is easier to be done, which one helps this to be done. And the algorithm contains this. You understand? That the algorithm will filter it. So you cannot go wrong. The result is for sure. That's correct.
No, this is great. And yeah, no, this makes a lot of sense. I'll definitely ask Lauris tomorrow. Okay. Because I think we are both the worst. We will keep going forever. The last thing I wanted to touch upon, and if you have anything you want to talk about, obviously we can talk about it. I'm not in a rush, but I wanted to touch about chess and the primary lessons you've had, any transferable skills that you obviously see are influencing your life in other areas today, and your journey. But also, I wasn't planning to ask this. Sorry, I'm listing too many things.
No, it's okay. I remember.
But it's also, I wonder about the aspect of competitiveness, since
Sure.
when you asked me about jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
I wonder how you experienced that.
Okay. I mean, my father taught me chess when I was young, like very young. I think I played my first tournament when I was like 8 or 9 years old. And because I liked it and I was getting good at it, we kept going on. I was doing some lessons, but the real change happened. I think I was somewhere like 11, from 11 to 16 approximately. I was doing lessons with a coach from Greece. His name is Spiros Kapnisis. He was also the Greece's national team coach. He's one of the best coaches in Greece, and that's where I really got really good. I mean, I don't want this to be insulting, but he was better than all the coaches that we had in Cyprus. So it gave me an advantage. And many young kids or Cypriots, they usually find coaches from Greece because they have a higher level. I mean, he's a grandmaster. We didn't have grandmaster coaches in Cyprus. So he helped me a lot. I was playing in tournaments both in Cyprus and abroad. The competitive aspect. One of the reasons I stopped playing competitive chess, and one of the reasons I took a break, should I call it, is because I started not liking the competitiveness, and not only when it comes to chess, when it comes to mathematical Olympiads I was participating in, or other competitions, many other competitions, sports competitions, etc. I didn't like the fact that I was focusing so much on the result. I was thinking how many points I'm gonna win, how many points I'm gonna lose. It's not that I didn't like the game, but I was focusing too much on the result. So I needed that break from the competitiveness. Yeah, it really affected me. Like when you care about the result more about the game, or when you can't stop thinking about how many points I'm gonna win, how many points I'm gonna lose, I think you have to take a break. Because you lose touch with the reason you started, the reason you fell in love with this game. And yeah, I always liked the game though. I loved the game. It's just this competitiveness is just an extra thing. It's not that I stopped loving the game. What it taught me. Chess is like life. Like when I play chess, I can find analogies with everything that we discussed and with everything that we can discuss. It teaches you strategy. It teaches you There's strategy and tactics. Strategy is more long term. Tactics is more short term blows, more sharp things. Same thing in life. Same thing in a company. Same thing when you're running in an election. You can have a long term strategy, but that can change if something comes up. You have to be flexible. Same thing in the parliament. You have long term. That's how we separate our priorities too. In politics, direct democracy, how I envision it to work is there are short-term priorities, things that come up now and they need to be addressed, and more long-term stuff. For example, education for me is some more long-term stuff. Even though I think that it should change yesterday, there are things like the Cyprus problem, education that's more long-term. Things like people losing their houses, it has to be addressed now. So chess is like this as well, strategy and tactics. Or even in the election process, I make content. I see what works. I have a plan. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this campaign. I'm gonna meet with this person, do this podcast. If something comes up which I couldn't have predicted it, I'm gonna change my plan. It's a tactic. I have my strategy and I have tactics. So chess is life. I mean, this is just one example.
It's a good example.
It's a good example. There's many like this. There's many like this. It's like openings, middle game, and end game. You start a new project, a new adventure or venture. It is like this is the beginning, right? In chess, we always prepare for the opponent based on what they played in previous games. So we have a database where you can see your opponent's past games. You can predict how they play. You may surprise them. They may surprise you. Then you have the middle game where you're on your own now. You have to think there. But you can memorize patterns. Maybe you played so many games, you studied so many things. You memorize the patterns, but at some point, maybe something new comes up. Then you have to be more creative. So you act based on your knowledge, but you also have space open for creativity. You allow creativity. And then the end game is the game changes in the end game. As pieces come out of the board, the king, which you should have been protecting the king as the pieces are on the board because it's more dangerous for the king. The goal is to protect it. When the pieces come off the board and you're in the end game, the king becomes an asset. And it goes into the game with no fear. And the data changes, the context changes, you know. A knight. What is the knight worth by itself? Is like we have this thing that the pawn is worth 1 point, the knight is worth 3 points, the bishop 3 points, the rook 5 points, the queen 9 points, and the king infinite. Because if you lose the king, you lose the game. These things are there is just a model. These can change. They're not fixed. Again, context. In a certain position, the knight can be so powerful that it's worth way more. If you put it in a different position, if you make the pawn structure different, the knight could be useless. Could be worth less than a pawn or a pawn. It could be equal to a pawn. I mean, so it is the normal. It is worth the normal points that you would assign to it, each piece. But there's also the potential points that you could assign to it. It's like it has the potential to be worth way more than 3 or way less than 3, for example, in certain positions. So it's all being determined by context. Same thing in life, in anything you do in life. The way I think about chess, planning, thinking about what the opponent is going to do, it's the same way you can think about life, teaches you so much. I don't know, discipline, creativity. There's this saying that says chess is science, art, and sport. I agree with it. The sport thing might be a bit controversial, but I mean, after 5 hours of a game, I'm sweating. I don't know if I consider it a sport, but I don't know if it's not in the Olympics yet, but I think it is considered a sport. I'm not sure. It's debatable.
That's a really good answer, man. This is kind of I usually get moments during podcasts. I get this every time where it's like, okay, now I like kind of my mind gets blown. But you gave me so many ways that chess has helped you, and yeah, this is really interesting. And how many? Because I really like analogies. I really learn from analogies.
Me too.
And so you gave a lot of examples there of how can you use this, how you can use these things as analogies too. For instance, simple example of, a knight or a horse or whatever, they might be worth more in a certain context, and that there's a lot to be gained if you try to think of these. Okay, what does this mean about if I put it in the context of my own life or my career or my business?
Exactly. No, when you're a CEO of a company, you work with talent, you hire people. Or in a political party, everyone has their own role. When you're gonna assign someone a role, if you put the wrong person in that role, I mean, they're not gonna produce good results.
The fish in the
Exactly.
in the sun.
But if you put the knight or the bishop in the right position, they're gonna be a killer. If you put the bishop in open diagonal, aiming at the king, that's the right place to be. Same thing now with the party or in a company, or your position in a society. Where can you be the most useful? Where in society should you place yourself, or should they place you, whatever?
100%. All right. We've talked a lot.
Yeah.
I'm happy to continue forever.
No, we can wrap it up. It's fine.
We can. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about that we didn't touch on?
I came here with no expectations. I was expecting the direct democracy conversation, but no, not really.
Okay.
I loved it.
I enjoyed it a lot, bro. I really, really enjoyed it. Before we close, tell people where they can find your channel, where they can find your stuff, and what they should be expecting for you in the future. You've already kind of addressed that. But
Okay. I don't know if I remember my handles off the top, but it's Ioannis Damianou. It's IOANNIS DAMIANOU. The handles might be a bit different on each platform, but I think you'll find them.
I'll put it in the description.
Yeah. What should they expect? They should expect 2.5 months of election campaign. I'm gonna be as useful for the society as possible. We're gonna do this campaign to get people to register. We have until the 2nd of April. I'm gonna do podcasts with people who have really important stuff to say. A lot of live streams, appearing in places at the right time, in topics which are hot, and they need us to be there. They need people to get off their couch and be there, which I've already done the past few weeks. And yeah, a lot of content, and we see how it goes. Hopefully some TV appearances as well. Hopefully they invite me. I've never been on TV. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you.